Dispeller of Obstacles, The Heart Practice of Padmasambhava, Part 2, translated by Erik, Pema, Kunsang, and read by Angus, Cargill. Questions on Zabji Kojang. Lama Putsi Pema Tashi. Student: Are the seed syllables in the deity's heart centers the same color as their bodies? Lama: Here we are talking about the 12 manifestations. The seed syllables in their heart centers always correspond to their body colors. The peaceful manifestations always have a Hri, and the wrathful ones all have a Hong. In the case of the peaceful deities, the seed syllable Hri stands on a moon disk. In the case of the wrathful ones, the seed syllable Hung always stands on a sun disk. Is Dechen Jalpo wrathful or peaceful? Lama: Dechen Jalpo is semi-peaceful and semi-wrathful. He has a 3 in his heart center. Student: Regarding Jalwe Dungtsen, what does brilliant splendor mean? Lama: This phrase has something to do with being dignified. You can see that powerful people have some special bearing or brilliance about them. A beggar doesn't have that. Usually this phrase is used to describe deities who engage in magnetizing activity or taking charge activity. When certain people speak, other people always say, yes, yes, all right, to whatever they say. It is this kind of quality. In this case, the deity is called Jalwe Dungtsen, but as one of the 8 aspects of Guru Rinpoche, he is called Pema Jalpo. Even though he is white here, a strong red hue shines forth from within. That light takes control over all of samsara and nirvana, magnetizing or gathering back all the splendor of samsara, which is merit, longevity, power, and so forth. It also gathers back the omniscient wisdom and all the enlightened qualities of nirvana. We should imagine that all of these appear in the form of the 8 auspicious articles and emblems, the 7 royal possessions, and bindus of 5-colored rainbow light. All this dissolves into you. Through this, your demeanor of power and dignity blazes forth tremendously. Everything is perfected. The mantra says Pama Raja, which refers to Pema Jalpo. Student: Please give a brief explanation of each of the 12 manifestations. Lama: Since this is primarily a Guru sadhana, all the deities are the display of the wisdom of the Guru's mind. There is no variation in quality, such as one being superior or inferior. There's no difference whatsoever. Many different forms appear because sentient beings have many different thoughts and emotions, occur through the expression or display of dualistic mind. In the same way, all the various forms of deities, yidams, dakas, dakinis, and so forth, are the natural expressions of the state of Rigpa. There are also many aspects and forms due to the different inclinations and karmic links of sentient beings. Even though there is no difference in quality, still there is a difference in the speed of accomplishment, depending on the individual. For example, when you throw the flower of awareness into the mandala during an empowerment, it is said that if you practice the deity upon which the flower lands, accomplishment will be swifter than practicing any of the other deities. This deity is not superior, but it is more suitable to you. In one story, when Guru Rinpoche was giving the empowerment of Kabje, Trisong Detsen's flower fell in the center of the mandala of Chemchok Heruka. He then practiced that deity primarily. This is why there are so many deities. Jalwe Dungtsen is more appropriate for magnetizing activity. If you want to accomplish supreme wisdom and knowledge, you should focus more on Mawe Senge. Kunsang is appropriate for increasing wealth. Each deity has its specific purpose. They are not in any way inferior to or different from Guru Rinpoche himself. They are all exactly the same, but in a different form. Student: regarding Khyentse, what do essential extract and sky treasury mean? Lama: the first words essential extract mean the pure essence that is extracted. When you steep tea leaves, you keep the drink containing the pure essence and throw away the leaves. They are not the essence. In the same way, here the pure essences of all of samsara and nirvana are extracted like tea from tea leaves. This represents the splendor, wealth, and so forth that dissolves into you, rendering you the owner of the sky treasury. The sky treasury is inexhaustible, just like Bodhisattva Samantabhadra's boundless, inexhaustible offerings, which are like an infinite cloud bank spread throughout the sky. The sky is both infinitely immense and immaterial. So, sky treasury means both inexhaustible and very vast at the same time. Student: regarding Dukji Shechen, what does Shik Shik Yom Yom mean? Lama: Shik Shik Yom Yom indicates that the rain of daggers and vajras fills up the entire billion-fold universe, just like a great snowfall, a blizzard of snowflakes. Student: regarding Dzamling Genchok, what does Drekpa mean? Lama: a Drekpa is an independent, enterprising, evil spirit. There are different spirits called Zen, Jalpo, and so forth, who are not obeying the command of Guru Rinpoche. They are in fact eager to steal the life force of sentient beings and sometimes create obstacles for their lifespan. Student: regarding Dzamling Genchok, what does self-cognizance is perfected into the mind of the Mahaguru mean? Lama: once all these Drekpas have been cut down and terminated, and the clinging to all that appears and exists as being real has been purified, then everything that was previously emanated returns back and dissolves into you. By being blessed in this way, your mind is perfected into being the mind of Guru Rinpoche. What does this mean? It means the 5 poisons have been self-liberated, and you have achieved mastery over wisdom. Among the different yidams, this form of Guru Rinpoche is the same as Yangdak Vishuddha Heruka. Student: regarding Pema Jungne, what does reveling in bliss and emptiness mean? Lama: reveling here means the indivisibility of bliss and emptiness. They are indivisible. Student: regarding Pema Jungne, what does what appears and exists as the 3 roots deities mean? Lama: Nangsi, or appearance and existence, is an abbreviation of appearance, which is the vessel of the world, and existence, which is the contents or sentient beings within this container. From the very beginning, the world and beings are actually the 3 roots. The world is a pure Buddha field, and all sentient beings in their pure form are the deities of the 3 roots. When we receive the vase empowerment, the samaya is to regard all that appears and exists as the all-encompassing purity, a pure land with deities. From the 3 places of all beings who appear as deities, a shower of attributes rains down upon you and increases the wisdom. The word play here, or display, is the same as when we watch a movie. Everything that appears on the movie screen is a magical display. All kinds of things occur, but they are all illusory. In this case, the display is the indivisibility of bliss and emptiness. Display can also mean enjoying or enjoyment, such as the 5 sense pleasures. The eye faculty enjoys or partakes in visual forms. The ear faculty enjoys sound. It's the same way with the other sense faculties. In some remote dialects, display is also the honorific form of the verb to beat. Student. Regarding Khyentse Pakpa Rigtsen, are Jungpos and Drekpas the same? Lama. Yes, they are the same. Student. Regarding Zultrul Tuchen, what does the power of awareness is increased mean? Lama. It means the quality of experience and realization blazes forth. Here it literally means to grow, expand, or increase. It's like a baby chick which doesn't look like much. You can easily step on it. But when it grows up, it becomes a magnificent rooster, with beautiful feathers and so forth. Also, when the power of Rigpa expands and strengthens, the power of experience and realization blazes forth. That is the meaning here. In the beginning, when you have not recognized the state of Rigpa, this doesn't happen. But once you recognize and train in Rigpa, its strength enlarges and expands. Student. Regarding Rigtsen Dorje Dragtsal, who or what is a Yaksha wrathful king? Lama. Dorje Dragtsal has 5 armor deities on his body. Yamantaka is in the forehead. Hayagriva is in the throat. Vajrapani is in the heart. Terma Nakmo is in the navel, and the 5th, Trojal Yaksha Meba, is in the secret place. This is how Guru Drakpo looks. Terma Nakmo is a black form of Vajra Yogini. When he sends out these deities, they clean up the whole world completely and subjugate all the different kinds of troublemaker spirits. His name is Trojal Yaksha Meba. Meba means blazing with intense heat. It is like a flame that immediately obliterates a tiny insect that flies toward it. In the same way, these emanations, especially the 5th, Trojal Yaksha Meba, fill up the world and completely destroy all that needs to be destroyed. Guru Drakpo is the form Guru Rinpoche assumed when he subjugated all the Drikpas and local spirits of Tibet and bound them under oath. All forms of Guru Drakpo have these 5 deities in their 5 places. Student. Are the activities of Dorje Drolur and Dorje Dragtsal the same? Lama. Yes. The practice we have here is the unified mandala of the entire cycle of the Bache Kunsel, in which all the deities are present together in a single mandala. But each of the 12 manifestations has its own individual practice with its own sadhana, from beginning to end. These correspond to the separate chapters within the Sheljam Nyingjiang scriptures. For example, the first of the 12 manifestations, Jalwe Dungtsen, who gathers or takes control over the entire threefold existence, is surrounded by the 4 Dakinis of the 4 families, who travel to the realms of the gods, the Nagas, the human beings, and so forth, gathering back all the wealth and enjoyments. They hold different implements in their hands. The 8 sadhana teachings, the Druppa Kabje, has a mandala of 9 deities, with Chemchok Heruka in the center, and Yamantaka, Hayagriva, Amrita Kundali, and Vajra Kilaya in the 4 directions. In the 4 intermediate directions, it has the Mamo, the Drangak, and the Rigtsen as the 9th. Altogether, they are called the Palgu, or the 9 glorious ones. They are practiced together in a single mandala, yet they can also be practiced individually. For example, if you do Yamantaka alone, It is called the individual practice from the 8 sadhana teachings. You can also practice Hayagriva or Vajra Kilaya alone. In the same way here, in the mandala of Bache Kunsang, the deities are practiced as a group in one mandala. But if you focus on one specific activity, you can just practice a single deity. For example, Kyechok can be practiced in order to increase wealth. This means visualizing a form that Guru Rinpoche has deliberately taken in order to accomplish a specific purpose. Student: regarding Khyentse, what does adamantine mantra sound of resounding emptiness mean? Lama: everything one sees is the unity of appearance and emptiness. Everything one hears is audible, yet empty. Whatever one thinks or feels is the unity of awareness and emptiness. This is how things really are. The Vajra mantra resounds throughout all worlds. Our normal voice is not necessarily the Vajra mantra. It is just ordinary speech. But still, it is empty yet resounding. This means that whatever is heard, whatever resounds, is empty of self-nature and possesses no substantial entity. This is the meaning of indivisibly audible, yet empty. Student: regarding Khyentse, what are the 8 major accomplishments? Lama: there is a list of 8, but there are actually just 2 types, the 8 general siddhis and the 8 supreme siddhis. In the exposition of the 3 levels of precepts, Dom Sum Namnge, you can find the list. Student: regarding Raksha Tertreng, what does everything is the play of awareness, the unimpeded state of primordial purity mean? Lama: everything here means that whatever occurs within the mind, such as the different emotions, thoughts, and so forth, is the expression of awareness. It is none other than primordial purity, which is the state of emptiness totally devoid of constructs. The quality of Buddha nature is that it has always been pure from the very beginning. It has always been utterly pure, and this is called primordial purity. The corresponding deity among the 8 aspects of Guru Rinpoche is Sengye Dradok. Student: when you do the practice, do you visualize yourself as Raksha Tertreng with another Raksha Tertreng in front of you? Lama: the visualization in front of you is always the same as your self-visualization. You invoke the front visualization with rays of light, and from the front visualization, the rays are emanated and reabsorbed, accomplishing the all-encompassing activities regardless of your focus. Student: regarding the gatekeepers in the East and pacifying activity, what is the sattva posture? Lama: he demonstrates. The knees are not touching the ground. The Vajra posture is Buddha Shakyamuni's pose. When practicing the Vajra leaps among the yogic exercises, one also lands in the Vajra posture. Student: do you append the Harinisa mantra to the end of the Tertreng Sal mantra? Lama: yes. In the Trinle Nyingpo and the Trinle Dringpo, the mantras of the 4 Dakas and Dakinis are said together as one, and appended to the end of the Tertreng Sal mantra. But here, in the Trinle Jepa with the mantras from the Japji Koljang, the mantras are said one family at a time. At the end of the Tertreng Sal mantra, you would add Ha Benza Dakini Ra Benza Ginkara, and so forth. Student: after that it says, sometimes you emanate bodily forms. Does that refer back to the Dakas and Dakinis emanating out, or to Guru Rinpoche? Lama, as we said before, When the text says, "at times," this means we can alternate what we think of when we cannot keep everything in mind all at once. Sometimes we imagine the rays of light streaming out and returning. Sometimes we rest in the state where our mind and the deity's mind are indivisible. We can focus alternately on the bodily forms, the mantra garlands, and the attributes. You can focus according to your preference. Student, regarding the southern gatekeepers and increasing activity, what is the reveling posture? Lama, it is the playful posture of the king. When Guru Rinpoche sits with his right leg slightly extended, he is in the reveling posture. Student, regarding the western gatekeepers and magnetizing activity, what time is evening? Lama, it is at dusk, when it gets dark. Each general aspect of the four activities, pacifying, increasing, magnetizing, and subjugating, has its own method of application, focus, and most effective time of day and direction. This is a general teaching for all practices. For pacifying activity, face east and practice at dawn. For increasing activity, face south at sunrise. Magnetizing activity is most effective when practiced at dusk. The terminating activity is performed at midnight. According to Tibetan astrology, the 24 hours of the day are divided into 2-hour periods, matching the 12 animals. In this way, there are 6 periods of day and 6 periods of night. The first period is between dawn and sunrise. The second period is between sunrise and the heat of the sun. The third is midday. The fourth is afternoon. The fifth is late afternoon, and the sixth is evening. The last period at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. is the time for magnetizing activity to be practiced. Student, aren't dawn and sunrise synonymous? Translator, dawn is when there is light in the sky, and sunrise is when you can actually see the sun. There is a list from Dharamsala, India, showing exactly when it's most effective to eat certain Tibetan medicines. It depends on when you were born and who you are. Student, the text refers to group practice. Does that refer to a great accomplishment practice, drupchen? What is the practice of the Kadu? I don't understand this whole section of text beginning with "take the cities at dawn, terminate at midnight." Lama, in the concise daily practice manual, the Gungi Chöljang, the words "then" for the supreme activity which is the sadhana of the group gathering, refer to performing a drupchen, where many yogis and yoginis gather to practice together. There are 2 kinds of yogis and yoginis, those who are fully ripened disciples and those who try to imitate fully ripened disciples. A fully ripened disciple has undergone the training in approach and accomplishment, perfected the recitations, and reached accomplishment in this. When a whole group of such people assemble, they can engage in the supreme activity, not just the general activity of pacifying, increasing, and so forth. The supreme activity of a group sadhana mirrors the style of the Kadu, or the assemblage of teachings, an extensive sadhana. Yagye Orjen Lingpa revealed the main terma, but Choktrül Lingpa also had a version, and you can follow either one. The Kadu gathers different teachings together in a single mandala. To practice this correctly, after completing the 4 aspects of approach and accomplishment, invoke the samaya of the deities in the evening, and receive the siddhis of liberation at midnight. At dawn, Practice the path of union. At this point, just before the conclusion of the Drukchen, accomplished disciples practice the third empowerment with a consort. This only applies to accomplished disciples, not imitators. Through this kind of yoga and practice, you will accomplish the 4 Vijradhara levels: maturation, longevity, mahamudra, and spontaneous accomplishment in this lifetime. What is the difference between being a ripened disciple and an imitator of one? The word for imitation means mask. For example, during a Lama dance, the dancers don the mask of a deity and pretend to be that deity. Here, even if you are not fully accomplished, you will attain the 4 Vijradhara levels in this lifetime, if you adhere to this practice perfectly. This is the meaning here. The way to enter Vajrayana is through receiving empowerment. When receiving empowerment, we obtain the samayas of the Vijradharas. When receiving the Vas, secret, wisdom, knowledge, and word empowerments, we receive the empowerment precepts of Vajrayana. What are those exactly? They are none other than the commitment to do the practices connected with the 4 empowerments. The practice connected with the first empowerment, the Vas empowerment, is to train in seeing the world, beings, sounds, thought activity, and so forth, as a pure display of deities, mantra, and samadhi. To engage in this properly, you train in the practice of the Vas empowerment until reaching perfection, until you actually see things as they already are. The world as a pure Buddha field, all beings as male and female deities, dakas and dakinis, all sounds as mantra, all thought activity as wisdom. Having trained again and again in the development stage until you stabilize this view, perceiving this way all the time, you can then request the secret empowerment. The secret empowerment is conferred by means of the bodhicitta of the Guru and consort. Once you have received the secret empowerment, you begin the practices connected with the inner path of Vajrayana, which has 3 aspects: preparation, main part, and conclusion. One's body is endowed with the skillful means of using another's body. The 3rd and 4th empowerments have the 2 aspects of wisdom as example and wisdom as the meaning. The latter refers to ultimate wisdom, not the symbolic wisdom. The first of the inner practices connected to the secret empowerment is training in the nadis, pranas, and bindus in order to gain mastery. The most important is to be able to control the flow of bindus, especially to reverse the flow. This is a very important point. Prior to attaining this mastery, you do not engage in consort practice. Such practice only comes after you have gained the ability to control the bindus. When you have achieved this, by means of training in the channels, mastering the different breathing exercises, and controlling the bindus, you can then request the 3rd empowerment, called the wisdom knowledge empowerment. This refers to training in the wisdom that unites bliss and emptiness, which is also called symbolic wisdom. Once you accomplish that, you are given the 4th empowerment, which is identical with the 3rd empowerment in essence, but only in essence. It is the real or ultimate wisdom of the unity of bliss and emptiness, totally free from all constructs and as vast as space. This is the progressive journey through the practices connected with the 4 empowerments. This journey, which brings one to the state of complete enlightenment, corresponds exactly to the normal sutra path of the 5 paths and 10 bhumis. The distance travelled is the same, but the speed is different. Taking the sutra path is like walking over land, for example, to Bodh Gaya, while taking the Vajrayana path is like flying there. You cover the same distance, but it is much faster. It is said that the Vajrayana path is like an optical illusion, in which you instantly traverse what would otherwise take a tremendously long time. It's the same as looking down at the ground from an airplane. You can see that you are covering the distance, but in a few seconds you have gone very far. According to Mahayoga, the Vajrayana path is divided into the 4 Vidyadhara levels. The first, the Vidyadhara level of maturation, corresponds to arriving at the heat and summit aspects of the path of joining. The second, the Vidyadhara level of longevity, corresponds to arriving at the first bhumi. The third, the Vidyadhara level of Mahamudra, or the Great Symbol, corresponds to the next 9 bhumis. The fourth, the Vidyadhara level of spontaneous perfection, corresponds to the very end of the stream of the 10 bhumis. Concerning the first, the Vidyadhara level of maturation, the body we have right now is mature because it is a result of past karma. Our previous karmic deeds compelled our consciousness to take the form of the human body we now possess. It is the form of the ripening or maturation of past karma. If one reaches the Vidyadhara level of maturation, it is said that the mind matures into the form of the deity, while keeping the body that is the maturation of karma. So we still look like a human being, but our consciousness has matured into the deity. Therefore, at the very moment of death, the human body is left behind, while the mind becomes the deity. Just as a baby Garuda bird, when hatching from its egg, is immediately able to fly, the practitioner who has reached the first Vidyadhara level immediately goes to a pure land in the form of a deity at the time of death. The short notes for performing the approach, accomplishment, and activities. Homage to Guru Rinpoche, possessor of the threefold kindness. Chokling. Having obtained the supreme freedoms and riches, being inspired by the thoughts of impermanence, weariness, and renunciation, and desiring to attain Buddhahood within this lifetime, you should receive the empowerments and keep the samayas. Then, at the time of an auspicious constellation during the waxing moon, make as many general confessions as you can. Sweep your dwelling place, sprinkle cleansing water, and burn incense. Place on the western wall either a painted or sculpted image of Ojin Rinpoche. Upon a ledge covered in cloth in front of it, arrange Amrita, Rakta, Terma, and the 7 enjoyments. Draw a swastika with white chalk under your seat and attach some of your master's hair above you. Thus make the auspicious coincidence for being able to complete the practice, reduce sickness, and increase vitality. If you have a perfect practice box, you should also use it. Otherwise, this much will do. Furthermore, gather the vajra, bell, damaru, frankincense, mustard seeds, tossing grains, poles, and the preliminary termas. Following that, sit down on a comfortable seat, supplicate your master, and expel the stale breath. Present the local lord with the white terma. Then, in the presence of the embodiment of all the objects of refuge, in the sky before you, your root guru inseparable from Ojin Rinpoche, think, I and all beings take refuge in you. Practicing this profound path, I will attain the state of the Trikaya Guru within this very lifetime, for the sake of my mothers, all sentient beings. Arousing bodhicitta in this way, dissolve the field of refuge into yourself. Visualizing yourself as red Hayagriva holding a lotus and skull cup, emanate Ram Yam Kam from your heart center to burn, scatter, and purify the terma. Imagine that from Drung appears a jewel vessel within which Om Ah Hung emanate an ocean of water with sense pleasures. The light from your heart center summons all the obstructors and presents them with a satisfying offering. Afterward, order them to disperse on your command. Dispel the remaining ones with tiny wrathful ones holding skull clubs and fire lassos. Toss out the gector, scatter charmed substances, and burn frankincense. Place the pole at your entrance with Sri Hayagriva in charge, and close the outer and inner passageways. If someone needs to come in, include him or her in your visualization. Then gather back all the tiny wrathful ones to create the protection consisting of the vajra foundation, enclosure, dome, and mass of fire. Hosts of Trikaya Guru deities arrive like a swirling blizzard and dissolve into you, your dwelling place, articles, and surroundings. Hereby, your body becomes the enlightened body, your speech the enlightened speech, your mind the enlightened mind, your dwelling place a pure realm and celestial palace, your companions, male and female deities, and your food and drink, wisdom nectar. While not conceptualizing the offering articles, you are perceiving their essence as wisdom nectar. They take the form, nonetheless, of a terma emanating the 5 sense pleasures, a skull cup filled with nectar, which condenses the extracts of samsara and nirvana, and a skull cup filled with rakta, which is the nature of bliss. Moreover, imagine that offering goddesses multiply to fill the sky. These were the preliminary steps. For the main part, meditate on the yoga of all phenomena being great emptiness. Within the state of the yoga of the magic-like compassion for all the sentient beings who have not realized this emptiness, your awareness, the union of emptiness and compassion, takes the form of a white Hri. Rays of light radiate from the letter Hri, purifying the world and beings. As the light rays gather back, the dark blue source of dharmas appears, as wide as space. Within it there also appears the green vajra cross of wind, the white circle of water, the yellow square of earth, Mount Meru with its sides reflecting these respective colors, and the blazing triangle of fire. At the center of all this, surrounded by the 8 great charnel grounds and situated upon the anthers of a 1,000-petaled lotus, lies a pure land, replete with perfect features. Within it there is a vajra cross with 12 spokes reflecting the respective directional colors. Those pointing east are blue, and so forth. Its hub is a white square of precious substance upon which rests the palace. The palace has 5 layers of walls in one of 2 arrangements. In the first configuration, the palace's interior, made entirely of white crystal, is surrounded by another layer of walls, made respectively of sapphire in the east, gold in the south, ruby in the west, and emerald in the north. This arrangement progresses clockwise, with each additional ring of walls maintaining this color orientation and sequence. In the second constellation, progressing from innermost outward, the 5 layers of walls are respectively made of crystal, emerald, ruby, gold, and sapphire. A red platform of delights adorned with offering goddesses runs along the base of the walls. A yellow frieze and a white ledge supported by posts with hanging rainspouts runs along the top of the walls. Golden scarves and lattices hang over the gaps. Golden vases supporting parasols, pennants, victory banners, flags, and tail fans rest upon the ledge. Decorative peacock feathers and silken streamers hang downward. At each of the 4 entrances, there is an 8-fold architrave supported by 4 pillars. Above these, there are 13 Dharma wheels, topped by a parasol and flanked by deer. Inside, the galleries surrounding the white square have the colours of their respective directions, blue to the east, and so on. Below the ledge, but above the golden beam, there are 8 pillars supporting a circular beam that holds 28 rafters marked with the attributes of the family. Above the circular beam, there is another 5-fold wall, a frieze, and a ledge similar to the wall below. The beams on this level have a checkered pattern and support 16 rafters covered with jeweled planks, which have 3 tiers and are in the shape of a stupa. A lotus atop a set of posts supports 13 golden rings that run up along a life pillar, consisting of an unchanging vajra inserted within a cross. At the pinnacle, lattices encircle a golden parasol. The lotus roof is adorned with shining jewels. The transparent palace shines with rays of light, and its proportions are unfathomable. Inside this, there is a flat 8-sided jewel made of sapphire, with shining jewels on its sides and lattice-work decorations. On top of it, there is a 4-petaled lotus made of various gems, on the center of which is a seat consisting of a lion throne, lotus, sun, and moon. Lotuses with moon seats adorn the 4 sides of the principal lotus. Upon the jewel itself, there are the following directional seats. To the east, a lotus and sun seat. To the south and west, lotuses with moon seats. To the north and in the intermediate directions, seats with lotuses, suns, and haughty spirits, dregpas, and to the northeast a 3-layered lotus, sun, and moon seat. The 4 gates have lotuses with sun seats. In this way, the 5 elements have the nature of the 5 consorts, while the celestial palace has the nature of the 5 wisdoms. The 37 factors of enlightenment are all present within these details. Regarding the visualization of the deities who inhabit the mandala, the primary text depicts the 3 main figures clearly. At the top of the lotus tree growing behind the Guru, you should visualize the 2 lords of the family, as described in the practice manual. At this point, the surrounding figures are merely a felt visualization. If you want to understand the details, consult either the extensive or medium practice manual. Gyalwe Dungzin can either be standing or seated as you prefer. The inner manifestations all have differing accoutrements. Gyalwe Dungzin is Pema Gyalpo. Moreover, other manuals, such as the Gujang, describe him as having a king's attire and a crown inlaid with white skulls and jewels. Mawe Senge has a yellow pandita hat and a jeweled topknot. Kichog Tsulzang has a red lotus crown with 5 folds inlaid with shining jewels. Dukchi Sechen has a blue lotus crown with folds adorned with 5 dry skulls, and so on. In this way, they have many different accoutrements. However, here you should visualize according to the extensive practice manual. This assembly of deities is pure, as the nature of your own aggregates, elements, and sense factors. It is the magical net, uniting means and knowledge. All of the deities have Om Ah Hung in their 3 places, as they are inseparable from the body, speech, and mind of the victorious ones. Having primordially perfected the empowerments of the 5 wisdoms, The crowns of their heads are marked with the 5 seed syllables. The main figure, Guru Rinpoche, has an ushnisha with a tiara of 5 gems on the crown of his head. The rays of light streaming forth from the 3 in your heart center invite the mandala of the support and the supported, or simply the supported deities. Do whatever is convenient, but dissolve it indivisibly within the Samaya mandala. From the heart center of the main figure, a version of you as the Karma Sattva emerges, with 1 face, 2 arms, divine dress, and sublime ornaments, all in a variety of desirable colors. From its heart center and palms, offering goddesses with the 7 enjoyments, Amrita, Rakta, and Terma, emanate and make offerings. Imagine that the deities drink the Rakta without any remainder, thus emptying samsara. Receive the siddhis with the remaining nectar and dissolve the offering goddesses into the deity, which then in turn dissolves into you, in a process of creation and return. For the secret offering, delight all the sugatas with the bodhicitta that comes from union with the corresponding consorts. Perform the union and liberation by liberating deluded samsaric thoughts into luminosity. For the thatness offering, allow the spontaneously present wisdom to rest in the space of primordial purity. Make praises by emanating numerous beings, such as Vajra Varahi and the rest of the 5 Dakinis, as well as Brahma, Chakra, and the universal monarchs, who then make praises with melodious songs and music before dissolving back into you. In the context of the approach recitation, the recitation mansion is not divided. You visualize yourself in the form of the Guru. In the heart center of both lords of the family, there is a syllable Hri, white and red respectively, upon a moon disk. Rays of light radiate from these, gathering the nectar of longevity into the vase, which then overflows and pours down onto the crown of your head, without having to pass through the body of Avalokiteshvara. At the time of the accomplishment practice, offering clouds emanate from the light rays of your body, pleasing the victorious ones throughout the directions and times, while bodily forms filling space emit light rays that purify being's obstructions. Do this while linking Hung to the breaths coming, going, and remaining. As a beginner training in the triple Hung, this is sufficient. You do not need to visualize either a countless amount of Hungs or the shape of the Hung. The 4 classes of Dakas perform the activities with the rays of light from bodily forms resembling themselves. Perform the visualization for the recitation offering as above. No matter which of the 6 recitations you focus on, recite and meditate a little on all the others. Or, as is taught in the other manuals, at the time of benefiting oneself, practice only Amiteus, and apply the same to the others in their context. This is also completely in accordance with Scripture. For daily recitation, you should carry out the recitation and meditation of each of the 6 parts in full. In that context, as it is taught, every session bring out the deity's vivid appearance in fullness. Every session plant the great stake of the essence mantra. Every session rest in the one taste of your mind and the deity. Every session practice the magical displays of projecting and absorbing light rays. Always take pride in being no different from the deity. After that, if you are doing the feast offering as a concluding activity, neatly arrange feast tormas, meat and wine. Sprinkle them with clean water, and purify them with ram yam kam. From the state of emptiness, the 5 meats and the 5 nectars melt within the bandha vessel, as you summon and dissolve the wisdom nectar of the 3 syllables into the samaya nectar. Visualize as when opening up the recitation mansion. If you have not already opened it, invite the field of accumulation. The goddesses of sense pleasures offer the first part of the feast. Make amending and apologies with the nectar of the second part. For the last part, even if you don't perform the visualization for liberation, proffer to the mouth the flesh and blood, the essence of enemies and obstructors, without any remainder. Make offerings to the body mandala by enjoying the feast, while you visualize yourself as the deity. Then the bodhicitta of Hayagriva and consort on your tongue as Om Ahung dissolves into the residuals, cleansing impurities and consecrating them with wisdom nectar. Magnetize all the guests for the residuals and imagine that they partake of it and fulfill the activities. If you are not performing the feast, let the world and beings melt into light at the end of the recitation praises and dissolve into the mandala, which in turn dissolves into the Hri in your heart center. Then rest evenly without holding even that in mind. At that point, rest in shamatha, totally empty and without any thinking whatsoever, letting everything be as it is. Whatever thoughts arise, let them be free, naturally subsiding and dissolving, just as raindrops fall on a lake. Meditate like that for some time. When this leads to empty wakefulness dawning without fixation, free from there being someone observing something, that is the luminous view of cutting through, the realization of the mind section. Then emerges the deity again, vividly present in the form of the Guru, while visualizing Om Ahung in your 3 places and donning the armor. In daily activities, regard appearances as being forms of deities, sounds heard as being mantras, and thoughts as being enlightened mind. Think, may the result of these virtues ripen right now to pacify adversities and gather favorable conditions, so we may be liberated into the space of luminosity through this very practice. By the lines of auspiciousness of the 3 roots, aspire to accomplishing the benefit of yourself and others. At the time of receiving the siddhis, set out the drangye terma and skull cup with fine wine and sprinkle them with nectar. At the time of the dawn session, you may either open up the recitation mansion or visualize the field of accumulation in front of you. In either case, let the rays of light radiating from the deity's 3 places dissolve into your own 3 places. You thereby obtain the siddhis of body, speech, and mind. Then once more, light rays strike the articles, transforming them into nectar. By partaking of them, you obtain the supreme and common siddhis. Finally, let the assembly of deities dissolve into you, thereby generate the pride of being the non-dual lord of the mantra. At the end of the verse for invoking the siddhis, which begins with, "In the essence mandala awakened mind," it is sufficient to just chant the Guru Deva mantra and the verse that begins with, "My nadis and dhatus are filled with the essence of nectar." After that, perform the dissolution, emergence, utterance of auspiciousness, and aspirations. Gather the placards from the poles and come unhurriedly out of retreat. Leave all the practice articles in a remote place. Beyond this, you can see the details of the celestial place and the elaborate teachings on the purification, ripening, and perfection of the development stage and so forth in the manual of Lama Mawe Sengye, composed by Kame Khenpo and written down exactly as I have taught. The vital points for Trinlin Yingpo, which I have here stated in brief, were written at the request of Nang Tse Lama Rinpoche Kunga Chöwang, Ranyak Jalse Palden, the Burn Lama Trijalwa Yungdrung, the Geshe of Unzong, the spiritual teachers of the Sakya and Kagyu monasteries of Ninzong and Tridu, the more than 100 mantrikas of Drichu Nyingtsip, such as Palkyim, as well as the hundreds of non-sectarian Sakya, Geluk, Kagyu, and Bön practitioners who have received the empowerments and reading transmissions of the new treasures and who have practiced recitation for years in retreat. This was prepared as a celebration in response to the recent insistent requests of lamas, khenpos, and masters of Shenzong by Urgyen Chokje Dechin Lingpa during breaks in meditation at Tridu Eram Chöga, while wandering through remote places in U and Sang. It was composed on an auspicious day in one single sitting. The scribes were the retreat teacher Chögyal, who has mastered the 5 sciences, and Tsagang Lotsawa Rinchen Namgyal. May the virtue of composing this create the cause for all who encounter it to attain Buddhahood in their very lifetime. Mangalam. Key Points of Practice by Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche. Concerning the question of exactly how to practice when beginning, one cannot perfect the development stage practice without first having recognized awareness, Rigpa. The development stage springs out of the samadhi of suchness, which means knowing the natural state as it is. Without this samadhi, the practitioner thinks, this is emptiness, and unavoidably fabricates it. It is better to rest in the state the Guru has pointed out. That is the genuine suchness, the true and real awareness itself. In this way, one remains in the continuity of the practice. Otherwise, one practices a fake development stage. If we think all the sentient beings equal to the end of space are in nature empty and egoless, mahashunyata, we are mentally fabricating emptiness. If we think poor sentient beings who do not realize this emptiness, we are fabricating compassion. These two thoughts are artificial versions of the samadhi of suchness and the samadhi of illumination, lacking recognition of one's mind essence. This is the development stage that most people practice. When one recognizes awareness, however, one should rest without thinking it is empty or not empty. That is the recognition of primordially pure, rootless, self-existing wakefulness, genuine suchness. When that happens, one spontaneously thinks, poor ones. Just as water is wet and fire is hot, the natural expression of awareness is the flame-like heat of compassion. This awareness has unfabricated compassion as its nature. One spontaneously thinks, alas, poor sentient beings who do not realize the Buddha mind as it is. That is compassion, the samadhi of illumination. All development stage practice is embraced by emptiness and compassion. In the sutra teachings, emptiness is prajna, knowledge, and compassion is upaya, means. In the mantra teachings, the samadhi of suchness is emptiness, and the samadhi of illumination is compassion. Right now, as a beginner, these two appear to be false, but when really resting in awareness in emptiness, the expression of this awareness spontaneously arises as compassion. These are the first two samadhis. Within the unity of these two samadhis, emptiness and compassion, one must imagine the seed syllable, the spiritual life force or vital syllable of the deity, a white Ri in the case of Guru Rinpoche in the Druk-druk-but Kunsang practice, should be visualized like the moon or a star appearing in the expanse of space. This syllable then emanates the letter A for the mandala of space, then Yam, Bam, and so forth for the gradual layers of the elements of earth, water, fire, and wind. Upon these, one visualizes the letter Sum becoming Mount Sumeru, on which the letter Brum becomes the celestial palace, so all these appear one after the other. To reiterate, first of all, from the space of Dharmakaya comes Sambhogakaya as the expression of compassion, then the Nirmanakaya as the seed samadhi. The Nirmanakaya is the emanation of emptiness and compassion. The letter is the meaning of Nirmanakaya. On this basis, everything arises as development stage, and we visualize the external palace, with the internal inhabitants of deities. First, the celestial palace arises with the lotus and moon seat inside. When that is complete, the white Ri syllable descends from the seed samadhi. In some traditions, the syllable first becomes a hand emblem and then a bodily form. The hand emblem is the mental sign, the syllable is the verbal sign. Next, the visualized bodily form appears, with the hand emblem, the mental sign, in its heart center. Around this, the mantra chain, the essence mantra, circles. Thus, in the Druk-druk-but Kunsang practice, having first visualized the main figure, we then visualize the 12 emanations, which follow like the rays of light from the sun. After this, it is sufficient to remain unmoved from awareness while practicing the development stage. If you have grown accustomed to awareness, remain in the continuity of it, allowing the projection and dissolution of thoughts to arise as the development stage, like waves moving on the surface of water. When the meditation manifests spontaneously within unmoving awareness, the expression of awareness arises as the development stage. In that way, the meditation is first class. Then, as a matter of fact, development and completion stages are not separated. Remaining in awareness as the completion stage and letting the awareness expression arise as the development stage is the perfection of the development and completion stages as a unity. If this is not possible, first cultivate emptiness, then compassion, followed by the visualization of the seed syllable samadhi, wherein emptiness and compassion are united. Then the A, Yam, Ram, Bam, and so forth are the layers of the 5 elements upon which is the celestial palace. The seed syllable then descends and becomes the deity, and one visualizes oneself as the deity. Practice like this, one step after the other. When one has not recognized mind nature, the completion stage is scattered, and the development stage practice resembles the building of a house. Without completion stage, the practitioner is like a man constructing a building. Thus, solely pursuing the development stage, if you are visualizing with attachment to substance and solidity, you should, in the end, methodically dissolve the visualization. The palace dissolves into the deity, the deity dissolves into the seed syllable, and the syllable dissolves into the nada, and then into emptiness. Thinking at last, this is unborn and empty, one completes the practice with emptiness. In such a case, that process of dissolving the visualization is called the completion stage. Actually, first cultivate the development stage, then look at who is meditating. The recognition of the nature of the meditator is itself the completion stage. One cannot practice a perfect development stage without being introduced to awareness, to rikpa. When one truly recognizes awareness, the development stage practices do not interfere with awareness at all. What harm can be done to the state of awareness? All thinking is empty, empty movement. The emptiness moves. How can there be any harm to the emptiness? It is like a child at play. Again, it is quite permissible to simply imagine the 5 layers of elements with the celestial palace spontaneously manifest. You need not hold on to what you visualize. Just let go of the fixation and resolve yourself in the continuity of completion stage. Here you should resolve, and I mean resolve definitively, in the space of the 3 kayas. In the Dzogchen teachings, we speak of differentiating the thinking mind, sem, and awareness, rikpa, resolving one's body, speech, and mind in the space of the 3 kayas. In short, this means that one's body, speech, and mind are the 3 kayas. They are resolved to be the essence of the 3 vajras. When one understands this mandala of the spontaneously present nature, then all bodily appearances are the mandala of body, all resounding sounds are the mandala of speech, and all thought activity is the mandala of mind. One is not regarding something that is not, and imagining it to be something that is. The absence of complexity is body, complete within awareness. The self-utterance of primordially pure emptiness is speech. That is resolving the space of speech. Thought activity as mind is awareness, untainted by defects, empty of both grasping and fixation. Untainted by outer grasping, uncorrupted by inner fixation, it is self-contained. Thus, thought activity is the vajra mind. To differentiate the thinking mind and awareness, one must arrive solely in awareness. The thinking mind as the expression of awareness should be abandoned. When awareness is recognized, then the thinking mind is self-abandoned. Mind is changing and awareness is unchanging. In this way, the two are differentiated. Look at the sky, which is unchanging, and the clouds, which are changeable. Clouds are like the thinking mind, and the space is like rikpa, awareness. The clouds change again and again, but space never changes. Awareness is both unceasing and unchanging. In this way, the 3 vajras are complete and are resolved as vajra body, vajra speech, and vajra mind. The vajra body is uncompounded. The awareness is uncompounded. That is the nature of vajra body. It is not a formation or compound. The vajra speech is the unceasing sound. The vajra mind is the unobstructed mental activity, awareness. The obstructed thinking mind is what ceases. Awareness does not cease. The mind first has one thought. When thinking of the next, the first thought has ceased. Awareness is unceasing and unlimited, beyond the conceptual mind of the 3 times, unmoving in the 3 times. Empty essence, cognizant nature, and unlimited capacity, these 3 aspects are extremely profound. If the cognizance and the emptiness were limited, The limitation would result in only cognizance or only emptiness. That is not the case. The emptiness is cognizant, and the cognizance is empty. Moreover, neither limits the other, and that unobstructedness is itself the arising of the compassionate capacity. The empty essence is Dharmakaya, which is unconstructed like space. The cognizant nature is Sambhogakaya, which is intrinsic to space, like the sun and the moon. The unlimited capacity is like the image of the moon reflected on water. When the moon is reflected on the surface of the water, its image is not obstructed or limited. It appears naturally, except when there is no water. Likewise, the Nirmanakaya works for the benefit of beings in an expansive and unrestricted way. All three kayas are contained within awareness. When one has recognized that fact, one is said to have resolved it. Really, nothing is impossible once you recognize awareness. However, until recognition occurs, you will always have difficulties no matter what you do. The perfect will not come about. Everything will remain imperfect or fake, and the development will also be unnatural. Therefore, one need not hold on to the cultivation of the development stage. To let the awareness expression arise as development stage, and then to remain within awareness, is enough. One need not examine the awareness expression at all. Our present ordinary cultivation of the Vajrayana path is a short path, a method for purifying evil deeds, as in Maha-yoga and Ano-yoga. In Ati-yoga, the development and completion stages are called trecha and turgal, and they do not need to be produced. The development stage of Ati-yoga involves no development. All the deities are complete in the mind mandala of Ati-yoga. One cannot say that deities are non-existent, because they do appear in the bardo. Visualization is sufficient once in the beginning of the session. After that, let go and remain free from an object, free from a mental reference point. Visualize the whole thing vividly one time, and then rest in the state of objectlessness. Alternating the practice, so one sometimes keeps an objective reference and sometimes not, will not cause any harm, but one doesn't need to alternate. Alternating between visualizing and resting does no harm, because thought occurrence is itself the expression of Rigpa. When it arises as the visualization, this is fine. Thoughts and visualization arise as the expression of Rigpa when one has attained some stability. Lacking stability, the expression becomes too forceful, and the essence seems to get lost in that state. When the essence is out of sight, not recognized, it is a defect that causes the development stage to increase discursive thoughts. On the other hand, when recognition of the essence is stabilized, the expression of Rigpa within the state of the essence will appear vividly as the visualization of the development stage. Thus, the unobstructed expression of your awareness arises as the development state out of the primordially pure essence, the self-existing awareness, without moving away from this state, even for an instant. In our Guru Rinpoche practice, Trinle Nyingpo, after visualizing the deity, you proceed with the recitation of the various mantras. When reciting, you should try to recognize the essence of all thoughts as Dharmakaya and be free from distraction. This Guru Rinpoche practice first includes a recitation for Amiteyus as the approach, then for Avalokiteshvara as the full approach, then for Guru Rinpoche as the accomplishment, then for Tertreng Tsal as the intent of the great accomplishment. It ends with the Harinisa mantra, which fulfills the activities and is the application of the activities. In another way, all aspects of approach and accomplishment can be completed within the recitation of a single mantra. The first of the four is the moon with a garland of stars, where a garland of stars surrounds the syllable Three in Guru Rinpoche's heart center. Then, as the mantra starts to revolve, there is the second intent or visualization, which is called the firebrand. These refer to approach and full approach, which are completed together in this practice. The moon with the garland of stars is generally considered the intent of the approach, and the firebrand is the intent of the full approach. These represent the first two of the four types of recitation intents, approach and full approach, which are here contained simply as approach. The third, the messenger of the king, begins with the emanation of light rays. Upwardly, one makes offerings to the mandala of the victorious ones. Downwardly, the rays of light are the generosity, which purifies all the obscurations and negative karmas of sentient beings. This radiating upward and downward, while making offerings and purifying sentient beings, is called the intent of the king's messenger, and it belongs to the third aspect of recitation, the accomplishment. The fourth, the great accomplishment, includes all four of approach, full approach, accomplishment, and great accomplishment. At the time of pursuing the great accomplishment, there should be an individual for each of the deities in the practice. For example, for convocation of the peaceful and wrathful deities, one needs 100 people for the 100 deities. Then such a practice can truly be called great accomplishment. In the practice of Bache Kunsang, the recitation of the Harinisa mantra fulfills the pacifying, enriching, magnetizing, and subjugating activities embodied by the four gatekeepers. Each of the four types of activities has its own particular mantra for whatever action one has to complete. If one needs to magnetize, there is a magnetizing mantra. If one needs to subjugate, there is a subjugating mantra. Through the supreme mantra, which is the spontaneously accomplished activity, one can accomplish the supreme action. In this case, then, there are 5 activities: pacifying, enriching, magnetizing, subjugating, and the supreme activity, which is the spontaneously accomplished activity, the samadhi action of self-existing wakefulness. In the Bache Kunsang sadhana, when practicing mantra recitation, one first visualizes the Buddha mandala of one's body, then practices the approach, accomplishment, and application of the activities simultaneously, like bees swarming from the hive. One's body is visualized as the nature of deity, the deity's body. All sounds are of the nature of the deity's speech. All thoughts are of the nature of the deity's mind. According to the secret mantra tradition of the Nyingmapa, sights have the nature of body, sounds have the nature of speech, and thoughts have the nature of mind. This is called the triple application of sights, sound, and awareness. Teachings on Trinle Nyingpo by Orgen Topja Rinpoche. Introduction. When listening to teachings, studying and practicing, even if you are a seasoned practitioner, you should do so in order to bring all sentient beings to the state of true and complete enlightenment. Please keep that resolve in your mind as you read this. However, if you are studying Vajrayana, then you should not look at things in an ordinary way. Instead, you should see everything that appears and exists as all-encompassing purity. In other words, do not see the teacher as an ordinary human being, but as the Dharmakaya Buddha, Vajradhara Guru Rinpoche, or any other Buddha. Likewise, you, the student, should not think of yourself as merely being comprised of the 5 aggregates, the 5 elements, sense organs, and so on, but rather as having the divine nature of deities. That's the traditional opening remark that a Lama is supposed to make at the start of a sadhana teaching. At the beginning of the Way of the Bodhisattva, Shantideva states that he doesn't have any special virtues and is not very eloquent or poetic, so he has written in a frank, straightforward way. Here I will try to emulate his model. I have no pretense of composing great poetry or astounding you with my eloquence, but I will try to explain what I know. Don't expect to be shocked or overwhelmed either. Also, some masters may be able to liberate the students' mind streams merely with the sound of their voices and the profundity of their instructions on development and completion stages. I doubt if there is anyone like this alive anymore. I came here for the purpose of teaching. But if the teaching is just like a lecture, and there is no follow-up with practice afterward, then, while you cannot say it's completely pointless, it's like going to the movies. You drive over there, pay for a ticket, watch the movie for a couple of hours, and then you go home. It was fun. Also, a lot of people these days go for the show of it, to see what the Lama is going to talk about, what he or she is like. Then they drive home, and that was it. It is like going to last weekend's reggae festival close by, where about 12,000 people got together to be entertained. Now, I am going to try to make sure there's something valuable coming out of this. So when we listen, and also when it gets recorded and written down and somebody else sees it, there should be some benefit coming out of that. I have been asked to begin with development and completion stages. It is pretty easy to explain, but the main point is to become practiced, to grow used to the meaning. It is best if one can combine development and completion stages together in one sadhana. All the tantras and scriptures, headed by the Guhyagarbha Tantra, explain Vajrayana in terms of development and completion stages. In our tradition, the scripture Light of Wisdom, Lamrim Yeshe Nyingpo, explains the development stage in great detail. Also, Jigme Lingpa's Staircase to Akanishta Buddha Field and a text by Paltrul Rinpoche are both exquisite. We have many teachings on the development stage, but unless you connect the teachings with a sadhana, they become disconnected from your practice. It seems like practice is one thing and the teachings are totally different. Therefore, you need to connect the teachings with the sadhana practice. Once you understand how to combine all the vital aspects of the sadhana into a very simple form, you can apply the same model to any sadhana you might practice. Here I will connect the instructions with the sadhana of Padmasambhava, known as Tukdrup Trinlay Nyingpo. According to the terma tradition of Chokchur Lingpa and Jamyang Khyentse, there are 4 levels of heart practice, or guru sadhanas. The outer is Bache Kunsang, the inner is Sampa Lundrup, the secret is Tsokye Nyingtik, and the innermost secret is Dorje Dragtsal. According to Chokchur Lingpa's personal tradition, the primary or root practice is the Gongpa Kundu, embodiment of all realization, while the 2 subsidiary practices are Bache Kunsang and Sampa Lundrup. The Trinlay Nyingpo belongs to Bache Kunsang. The root text of the Bache Kunsel is a scripture called Sheldam Nyingjiang, the Essence Manual of all oral instructions. The Bache Kunsel cycle structure is like the analogy of a precious vase. Most termas explain that the qualities, virtues, and effects of their practice are great. But as explained in this terma, the benefits of practicing the Bache Kunsel are incredible. In the terma text, Padmasambhava states that anyone who hears or practices the teachings of Tukdrup Bache Kunsel will immediately be free of any misfortune and will avoid rebirth in the lower realms. Wherever the Bache Kunsel is kept will be indivisible from the highest Buddha realm known as vajra akanishta, and the Dakas and Dakinis will swarm about like gathering cloud banks. If that is not true, then I, Padmasambhava, will have lied to future generations, he says at the end of the terma text. After Chokya Lingpa revealed the Bache Kunsel terma, he practiced it in secret for 8 years, as I mentioned earlier. During this period, he wrote part of it down, but did not pass it on to anyone, including the main holders of this terma lineage. After having realized the teaching, he first offered it to Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo, who was the destined holder of this lineage. A prediction about decoding the Dakini script said the mother and child would meet together and establish the teachings. Only Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo was able to see all the writing that manifested from the yellow parchment. The mother refers to the yellow parchment script, and the child refers to what Chokcha Lingpa had written down. So only Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo saw both the mother and child script. What they decoded is the grandchild. It was said that the mother and child should then be allowed to disappear. Therefore, they were eliminated. Jamgon Kongtrül was then given the teachings. Due to these three practicing and propagating the Bache Kunsel, it became so widely spread that almost all masters had received the empowerments and practiced it. From the original parchment, various root texts would appear, including the Nyingjiang, Yangjiang, Yujiang, and Gujiang. The Yangjiang describes what and how the Tertön himself should practice. The Nyingjiang is the Sheldam Nyingjiang, the large volume we have today. Apparently there was also a Yujiang, which means a turquoise manual, and a Gujiang, a manual of necessities, but they seem to have been lost. Today we have the short instruction written down by Chokya Lingpa. As the years pass, personal instructions evaporate, they disappear. Chokya Lingpa's son, Wanchuk Dorji, also received some personal instructions, but he died young and took those teachings with him. Nonetheless, though Chokcha Lingpa was quite young when he revealed the Bache Kunsel, he did succeed in making it extremely complete. Many important points, subsidiary aspects, and so forth were written down, and the stream of its practice is still vibrant. Fortunately, the lineage for Tukdruk Bache Kunsel is still alive and active. We should not let it die, but keep it vibrant through practice. Just having text lying around is not that useful. They need to be put into practice. This particular text is being practiced here in Western countries as compared to other places. My commentary is backed up in writing by the extensive version of the Sadhana, by the commentaries of Chokcha Lingpa, Jamyang Khyentse, Kongtrül, and so forth. It brings all of that together, although I still haven't seen one commentary that puts it all together into one. Misinterpretations can lead to doubts, so it is important to clarify the correct visualization for the development stage and make this available, not only for the present but also for the future. In this way, a lot of questions come up, and if correct teachings are given, recorded and written down, then there is something for the future. Otherwise it just vanishes. Once the master dies, the knowledge is gone, like that. It is the same with a lot of other teachings. Unless the teachings are kept, they vanish with the master. These days, we only have the essence manual. We don't have the quintessence manual. It and another important manual both disappeared. For development stage, the visualization of the deity is one of the more important points. When I explain, I will start with the Dharmakaya's basic space of suchness, which is the samadhi of suchness and the other samadhis. Therefore, this commentary is based on what can be definitively known from the extensive version of the sadhana known as Trinley-Jepa, and from the commentaries by Chokcho Lingpa, Jamyang Khyentse, and Jamgon Kongtrül. What we know today is about this much, and even if we were to run around and try to dig up things, we wouldn't find any more than what exists today. If you want to make up lies, you could, but what is straightforward and truthful is about this much. I will not make anything up, and have only included what can be authenticated in the existing sources. Title: Trinley Nyingpo, The Yoga of Essential Activity, from Lame Tukdruk Bache Kunsang, the Guru's Heart Practice, Dispeller of All Obstacles. The sadhana of Guru Rinpoche from Tukdruk Bache Kunsang exists in 4 versions of varying length: the very extensive, the medium length, the essential, which is Trinley Nyingpo, and the concise version for daily practice, the Jungji Kurjang. Trinley Nyingpo means essence of activity. Just as the essential part of milk is contained in butter, the essential blessing of the elaborate, extensive form of the sadhana, the Trinley-Jepa, is condensed in the Trinley Nyingpo. It is called essence, Nyingpo, because people nowadays are often so busy that they do not have time to do authentic practice. Therefore, Guru Rinpoche was asked to provide something concise yet complete, which would be easy to do and convenient to apply. So he condensed the teaching in this practice, and that's really appropriate. When I need to perform the feast offering with my monks on the 10th or 25th day of the month, we just wouldn't have time if we didn't have the essential size. Nevertheless, you shouldn't think that Trinley Nyingpo is lower quality just because it is short and condensed. On the contrary, the extensive version may go into more detail, but nothing is left out here. It is also more suitable as a daily practice, especially for Westerners. This essence practice is therefore very important. There's a famous saying, "In harmony with everyone, yet superior to them all." If one is not in tune with how everyone perceives and understands, then one doesn't really connect. But regardless of being in harmony with everyone, if there is nothing special at the same time, then what's the point? Then there's nothing interesting there. The Trinley Nyingpo is in harmony with all other teachings. Yet, at the same time, there's something extraordinary there. Also, you can combine the sadhana's instructions with some personal advice on how to go about it. In addition, this practice includes Padmasambhava's personal advice on how to perform all the aspects of a Vajrayana ritual, when and how to use the drum, damaru and bell, how to create the terma, and how to mingle development and completion stages. That in itself is something extraordinary. At the beginning of the Trinley Nyingpo, there is a special seal to authenticate it as a terma by Padmasambhava. As you know, countries have a government seal for their important papers. In the same way, the seal here signifies the terma of Padmasambhava. Trinley Nyingpo is an earth treasure, sa-ter. There are 7 major types of transmission, including earth treasure, sa-ter, mind treasure, gong-ter, and pure vision. Chokling Lingpa had all 7 lines of transmission. He was destined to reveal 100 different termas, but he only succeeded in revealing 37 of them, of which the earth treasures, like the Tuk-Truk, Bachik, Kunsang, were the more important ones. There is some debate among Tertons as to which is the most precious, the most profound. Jigme Lingpa, for instance, felt that the mind treasure is the most special, and he was not too impressed by something that had been dug up from the ground. In the context of the Nyingtik lineage, he said that mind treasure, mind, gong, being the state of realization, means that the Terton's realization was indivisible from Padmasambhava's. This enables the Terton to decode or manifest the treasure. Therefore, mind treasure is superior. On the other hand, the 5th Dalai Lama's termas were in the form of revelations. He claimed that because the Terton receives the terma in Persian in a pure vision, it is superior. Others claim that receiving it from Padmasambhava's own mouth into their own ears is superior, making the hearing lineage the best. But Chokling Lingpa felt that the earth treasure was the best, because it could be authenticated. The yellow scrolls with the secret writing of the Dakinis still exist as tangible proof, whereas anybody can have a vision or inspiration. The word Lame is an abbreviation of Lana Mepa, which literally means highest or unsurpassed, and indicates that this scripture is very special. Moreover, since the karmically destined Yidam of Tibet is Avalokiteshvara, and the karmically destined Guru is Padmasambhava, the word Lama or Guru here refers to Guru Rinpoche, which is another name for Padmasambhava. When Padmasambhava came to Tibet, his main disciples were King Trisong Detsen, the Dakini Yeshit Tsurjal, and the great translator Vairotsana. Among his other disciples were the 25 disciples, the 9 heart sons, and so forth. To this very day, most of the great masters have been either direct emanations of Guru Rinpoche's mind or incarnations blessed through his influence. Padmasambhava himself said, "If you behold me, it is the same as beholding all Buddhas. If you realize me, it is the same as realizing all Buddhas." In the Nyingma tradition, there are 2 main streams of transmission, the oral lineage and the treasure lineage, known respectively as Kama and Terma. The 3 roots are the Guru, who is the root of blessings, the Yidam, who is the root of accomplishments, and the Dakini, who is the root of activities. Each of these then has a related sadhana, but the Guru sadhana includes them all. Guru sadhana here means that you should regard your own root Guru to be indivisible from the mind of Padmasambhava. One's Guru is seen as the blessings of Guru Rinpoche, and this is the real sense of the word Guru here. That is the meaning of heart practice, through which we come to realize the mind of the Guru. The title also refers to all obstacles. Padmasambhava's close disciples asked if there were obstacles on the path to enlightenment. He replied, "Yes, there are, outer, inner, and innermost obstacles. There are countless obstacles and hindrances, and the one unexcelled way to remove them all is by supplicating your Guru. As a matter of fact, when practicing the Dharma, any difficult or adverse circumstance is called an obstacle. The moment you overcome an obstacle is in itself an accomplishment. You can also understand it this way. Our basic nature, the Buddha nature or Sugata essence, is covered by temporary obscurations. When we remove or dispel these, the qualities intrinsic to the Buddha nature become evident. That is called accomplishment or siddhi. As supplicating one's Guru is the best way to overcome these obstacles, the Guru sadhana is an ideal way to attain accomplishment. Preparation. Homage to the Guru Trikaya deity. For the essence of accomplishing the Trikaya Guru, sit on a comfortable seat in a secluded place and practice by means of preparation, main part, and conclusion. Samaya. The Tertun wrote the first sentence, homage to the Guru Trikaya deity. It means that all the deities of the three Kayas are included in the sadhana as manifestations of Padmasambhava's mind. Therefore, by paying homage to the single form of Padmasambhava, one is paying homage to all of them. The word deity refers to the principal figure in the center, the 12 surrounding manifestations, and all the deities of the three Kayas. The specific details on how to practice each of these deities is explained in the longer versions. So, to practice, one should sit on a comfortable seat in a secluded place. This means a quiet, remote spot, free of daily human activities, where ghosts do not roam at night, where there is no danger, such as from thieves, bandits, or wild animals, and where the masters of the past have practiced. Ideally, one's retreat should be blessed and pleasant. A comfortable seat actually means a thick, wide cushion with a swastika design, either in chalk or kusha grass, underneath it. There are quite a few instructions about how to properly prepare a seat, but the most important point is that you should sit however you're the most comfortable. If you need to sit for a long time and you are uncomfortable, you will not be able to remain still. It does not say to sit on the bare ground, a high throne, chair, or anything else. It just says sit on a comfortable seat, whatever is comfortable for you personally. Most texts say you should sit facing west. Since Guru Rinpoche's Pure Land is to the west, then your seat should face in that direction. One's practice then consists of preparation, main part, and conclusion. These three include all the important aspects of a sadhana. The preparation involves arranging the site, shrine, and so forth, as well as reciting the verses for refuge, bodhicitta, protection circle, and so forth in the sadhana itself. The main part refers to the actual visualization of the development stage, and the conclusion includes the feast offering, dedication of merit, and so forth. The Trinlejepa has 7 aspects for each of these 3 sections. The specific details for arranging a shrine are quite elaborate and should be learned from someone who knows how to do it properly. However, one important point is to have an image of Padmasambhava, which can be either a sculpture or painting. In front of that, you place the 3 main ingredients of amrita, rakta, and terma, the outer and inner offerings, and the feast articles. If you are practicing in a group, you should have various musical instruments, but if you are alone, then only a damaru, hand drum, and bell are required. You will also need a rosary. Samaya means that this practice is not meant for people who are unsuitable. Having prepared one's space and arranged the shrine, one sits down. After chanting suitable lineage prayers, one begins the sadhana itself, starting with refuge and bodhicitta. Refuge and bodhicitta. Namo. I and all beings, equaling the sky in number, take refuge in those who are the supreme refuge. Developing the bodhicitta of aspiration and application, I will accomplish the level of the Trikaya Guru. This verse is chanted 3 times. Namo means homage. The first 2 lines of refuge are quite straightforward. At the beginning of refuge, imagine that rays of light emitting from your heart center call upon Guru Rinpoche as the primary figure and connect to the other objects of refuge, such as Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, masters of the lineage, and so forth, who are gathered like cloud banks around Guru Rinpoche. It is also perfectly fine to imagine the single embodying jewel, meaning the chief figure, while keeping an awareness of all the other objects of refuge gathered like cloud banks around him. Then we chant the meaning for that. The visualization for taking refuge is explained in the Ngundro teachings, but in brief, imagine that all sentient beings take refuge together with you at their head. All beings means all sentient beings without exception, even the likes of Osama bin Laden. We all take refuge in the 3 jewels on the outer level, in the 3 roots on the inner level, in the channels, essences, and energies on the secret level, and in the empty essence, the cognizant nature, and the unconfined capacity that manifests in the forms of the deities according to the Dokten teachings. To take refuge implies that from this moment until we attain complete Buddhahood, these are the objects of refuge for us and all sentient beings. In Vajrayana, it is important you understand the meaning of what you are chanting. Having witnessed our refuge vow, the objects of refuge emit rays of light in all directions. This light touches all sentient beings, removing their obscurations and negativities. The next 2 lines encompass the bodhicitta of aspiration and application. The aspiration is simply the wish that we may resolve to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, as the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have done. Application means that we will also actually apply ourselves to doing whatever is necessary to attain complete enlightenment. Trikaya Guru refers to the gurus of the 3 kayas. The Dharmakaya Guru is Amiteyus, the Sambhogakaya Guru is Avalokiteshvara, and the Nirmanakaya Guru is Padmasambhava. The Trinlay-Jepa includes several extra lines for the bodhicitta of aspiration and application. Ho! As all the victorious ones and their sons of the past arouse their minds towards the unexcelled supreme enlightenment, I too will accomplish Buddhahood in order to benefit my mothers, all beings as numerous as space is vast. At the end of this, it is good to combine your breathing with the bodhicitta attitude. As you inhale, imagine you are inhaling all the disease and suffering of others, and then exhale rainbow light that purifies them of any obscurations and bathes them in happiness and joy. The Trinlay-Jepa also includes verses for the 7 branches and 4 immeasurables. Though they are not explicitly mentioned here, the meaning of the 7 branches is included later in the sadhana. We should, however, pause to contemplate the 4 immeasurables. By this merit, may all beings possess happiness. Freed from their suffering, may it ripen upon me instead. May they never part from the happiness devoid of misery, and may they abide in impartiality, the equal nature of all things. Gektor, the terma for the obstructors. Then all the objects of refuge, the field of accumulation, dissolve into you, after which you transform into the action deity, who in this case is the king of the wrathful ones, Hayagriva. He has one face and two arms, and on the top his head is a horse head. He has a club in one hand and a noose in the other. If you have a terma for the obstructors, Gektor, then you should consecrate it with Ram Yam Kam. From your heart center, countless small wrathful deities emanate, carrying hooks, nooses, lassos, bells, chains, and so forth. They capture any beings that seek to create obstacles for practitioners. As these obstructors are arrested and brought before you, you offer them the terma together with the mantra. And then you say, "From now on until all beings attain enlightenment, leave practitioners alone. Go away, go home." Then say, "Hung Ri, all demons, obstructors, and evil spirits of deluded duality, enjoy this terma and disperse to your own places." Those who refuse are expelled with special wrathful means, such as commanding them with mantras, gestures, and mudras, or piercing them with samadhi. This is called giving the command. The existence of demons, obstructors, and evil spirits is dependent upon deluded duality, or the mistaken way of perceiving. As we maintain our ideas, which are dualistic in so many ways, then, according to our dualistic perception, evil forces do appear, and they can appear in an infinite variety of ways. Regardless, we say, take this terma with exquisite shape, smell, taste, texture, potency, and so forth. May it appear to you in whichever way you prefer. Take it and get out of here, and don't make more interruptions for enlightenment. That's called the Gektor, the obstructor's terma. If you don't have an obstructor's terma, you just say, "Do not remain here. Go to your own places." The words and phrasing used in the Trinley-Jepa are just amazing. Hung Ri, within the primordially pure mandala of all that appears and exists, there are no names, such as dualistic fixation, obstructor, or deceiver. Yet not realizing this, due to the dependency of momentary confusion, all you demons who prevent us from attaining enlightenment, take this terma as payment for our debts, and disperse leisurely to your respective dwellings. For me to realize the yoga of the wisdom form, in order to benefit all beings filling space, including you who is not beyond this space, although distance does not exist for an altruistic mind due to the power of negative karma, you have no fortune. To perceive this mandala, therefore, go elsewhere for a while. If you do not leave, the rain of vajra weapons will completely reduce your body, speech, and mind to dust, all the way down to your 7th generation. Therefore, be gone right now. By my command, that of the great and mighty sporting steed, by the blessings of the precious 3 jewels, by the samadhis of the yidams of the 3 roots, by the perfect truth of Dharmata, and by the unfailing coincidence of cause and effect, may the hordes of demons who disobey this command be destroyed by the ferocious vajra display. You can actually attain complete enlightenment by just training in Gektor. In short, whoever receives this terma is dispelled far into the distance. It includes the visualization of the vivid presence of the wrathful deity and emanations of deities in all directions to arrest the evil forces. Then they are being commanded with the use of the dance movements, vajras, mantras, magic substances, burning incense, and the state of samadhi. All that is included within Gektor. As all of these aspects are combined in what is called the auspicious coincidence, every one of them is significant. The important thing to understand here is that the obstructor, Gek, is your own thoughts, your own projections. Therefore, the moment you simply let be in the composure of samadhi, every single type of obstructor immediately resolves. They all simply vanish. Once you have chased a thief out of your house, you then lock the door. Similarly, the next two lines describe the protection circle followed by a mantra. In the non-dual wisdom state of deity, mantra, and dharmakaya, the boundary mandala is naturally self-perfected. Hung, 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 vajra, raksha, raksha, brum. The protection circle is comprised of a vajra scepter in the center, surrounded by a dome built of vajra crosses. The floor also has a huge vajra cross. Any spaces in between are filled with ever smaller vajras, until the dome and floor become completely impenetrable. The dome is surrounded by flames, water, a roaring wind, lightning, and thunder. In other words, the five elements. In addition, there are male and female wrathful deities. One faces outward, and the other one faces inward, as explained in the general method of the development stage. The deities facing inward and outward prevent external obstacles from interfering in the practice, and blessings and accomplishments from slipping away. So everything has its purpose. Kame Khenpo had a skillful hand and was a very good artist. When he received the empowerment for Mawe Senge, the Lion of Speech, from Choktrül Lingpa, he took an oath to compose or draw something with divine quality every day. Thereafter, no matter where he went, he always had paper and pen. He lived to an advanced age and made many drawings, designs, and paintings. Over the years, he made drawings and sketches of almost all the mandalas and so forth in the Chokling tersa. Kama Khenpo's drawing of a protection circle shows what it should look like. I have managed to secure some of these drawings, but not that many. Apparently there is a monk at a monastery in eastern Tibet who has many more. However, I do have a drawing of the protection circle he made. The downpour of blessings and consecration of offerings. Om Ah Hung. Hosts of Trikaya Guru deities manifest from Dharmadhatu. Let resplendence descend on this place and bestow empowerments and siddhis. Please, bless this great offering mudra of appearance and existence as manifest ground to be an ocean-like display of Samantabhadra. Om Ahung Vajra Guru Deva Dakini Jana Abhishaya Aa. Hung 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 Om Sava Puja Mega Ahung. Samaya. The first two lines comprise the downpour of blessings. For this, you visualize that light rays stream out from your heart center in all directions, especially to the Buddha fields, where the chief figure of the mandala resides. In this case, it would be the pure land of Padmasambhava, the glorious copper-colored mountain where he is seated in the Three Kaya Palace. Then, from Padmasambhava and his retinue, a shower of blessings descends onto you, your surroundings, the shrine implements, offerings, and so forth. Just like water drops falling on a huge lake, these blessings dissolve into you and become indivisible from you. But the real meaning is that our incorrect, impure way of seeing things subsides both externally and internally, so we see purely and correctly. Even though we do not perceive things as being totally pure, they actually are already pure. In the Trinle Djepa there are some very special lines for invocation, where the wisdom beings who remain in the basic space of Dharma Dhatu are invoked to arise and become indivisible from us, the Samaya beings. Hung Ri. From the land called the Northwestern Chamara continent, the spontaneously present place of wondrous great splendor, from the celestial palace of lotus light, the glorious mountain, Orgen Tötrungsal, embodiment of all the three roots, together with all the Sugatas and victorious ones throughout the directions and times, and your retinues of Vijayadharas, Dakas, and Dakinis, do not neglect the Samaya of your former promise. When I invoke your mind stream with the overwhelming intense power of yearning, with your beautiful forms in free-flowing dance movements, with the tones of your voices roaring as sounds of vajra mantras, and with your compassion as the luminous state of self-existing wakefulness, please come here from the unmanifest Dharma Dhatu. Shower the great vajra resplendence of body, speech, and mind onto the outer, inner, and innermost mandala and samaya articles. Quickly display wondrous signs and indications. Bestow empowerment and blessings upon all the practitioners of this supreme sadhana. So even though there are just 2 sentences here, you still imagine that the sky totally fills up with deities who then dissolve into you, the shrine offerings, and so forth. In this way, you, your surroundings, and so forth are all blessed. In order to awaken to enlightenment, we need to perfect the accumulations and remove any obscurations. To perfect the accumulations, we make offerings, but offerings need to be sanctified first, so the next 2 lines are for the consecration of offerings. Appearance and existence as manifest ground refers to the Dzogchen view. From the very beginning, all that appears and exists, the world and beings, are in fact forms of the original ground, the primordial state. That is the true form of the deity, indivisible from the primordial nature. To put it simply, whatever you perceive is an expression of Padmasambhava's mind. Even more simply, whatever you perceive is a projection of your own mind. Whatever you perceive, all that you experience, is in itself devoid of any solid existence apart from your projecting ideas, as if they existed in themselves. But when you face this reality, then through the practice you will realize that nothing is apart from the state of primordial purity. As everything is a state of emptiness to begin with, there is great flexibility. If emptiness were not the basic state, then everything, including ourselves, would be frozen in one state from the beginning. But in this state of emptiness, you are free to imagine an infinite number of offerings. There would be no space for you to imagine anything if it weren't empty to begin with. Here, Samantabhadra means immeasurable display. As explained in the commentaries on the Way of the Bodhisattva, each pore of Bodhisattva Samantabhadra's body emanates a cloud bank of offerings that fills the sky with exquisite sense pleasures. Each of these emits rays of light from which another bodhisattva appears. Again, from each pore of this bodhisattva's body, offering clouds fill the universe, and so on to infinity. Trulku Urgyen Rinpoche pointed out mind essence with a simple gesture of his hand. If one recognized it and remained for even a few instants in the state of Rigpa, many eons of negative karma would be purified instantly. In the same way, the ocean-like display of Samantabhadra is also an extremely effective purification. If you cannot imagine an infinite display, try to imagine a large one. Even without all the details, it is still very beneficial. Until we attain the state where everything naturally manifests out of emptiness, we need to use our imagination, though we should still make the offering in a state of complete equality. Though development stage, in this case, is the process of mental visualization, according to the ultimate meaning, whatever appears and exists is actually the manifestation of the ground itself. Om Ahung Vajra Guru Deva Dakini Jana Beshaya Aa is the mantra for the downpour of blessings, and Hung 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 Om Sava Puja Mega Ahung is the one for the consecration of offerings. In the elaborate sadhana, one separately consecrates each of the outer, inner, innermost, and secret offerings. Outer offerings include the rinsing and drinking water, perfume, lamp, food, music, and so forth. The inner offerings are for the wrathful deities. They include blood, fat, the 5 sense organs arranged as a flower, and so forth. The secret offerings are the Amrita, Rakta, and Terma. But here, all you do is chant Om Sava Puja Mega Ahung, which actually includes all the outer, inner, and innermost offerings, because Sava means all and Puja means offerings. Imagine that everything is included in one consecration. At this point, imagine all 7 general offerings, drinking water, rinsing water, food, lamp, perfume, musical instruments being played, and flowers, as well as the inner offerings. However, for wrathful deities, they are human fat, which is used as a lamp, the flesh as fruit, perfume, and music created with thigh-bone trumpets, drums made from skulls, and so forth. On the innermost level, Amrita is made out of the 1,000 ingredients, of which there are 8 primary ones. Rakta is comprised of a substance that brings an end to all of samsaric existence, and the Terma emanates a cloud bank of desirable objects. Even though you can imagine each of these in great detail, here you should at least bring them to mind to a certain degree. The 7 general offering bowls, as well as the Amrita, Rakta, and Terma on the shrine, are the supports for visualization. Though you should have these supports, you should also do the visualization. When we make the actual offerings later in the sadhana, we add the ultimate offerings of the union of liberation and the offering of thatness, emptiness, and so forth. However, we do not need to consecrate them at this point. In these offerings, we are not holding on to concepts of self and other, because we have already exorcised the demons of dualistic concepts during the Gektor. In the Trinley-Jepa, we say, within the primordially pure mandala of all that appears and exists, there are no names, such as dualistic fixation, obstructor, or deceiver. Yet, not realizing this, due to the dependency of momentary confusion, all you demons who prevent us from attaining enlightenment take this Terma as payment for our debts, and disperse leisurely to your respective dwellings. We offer the peaceful deities pure water to drink, which is in complete harmony with normal concepts. The blood we offer the wrathful deities to drink is vaster than the ocean. Even if you killed everyone in the world, their blood would not fill the ocean. The flesh, organs, and so forth all develop from blood. Therefore, when somebody gets a cut, we respond very differently than if someone is spilling water on the ground. People get very upset at the sight of blood, and they usually do not drink it. Therefore, the purpose of making an offering of blood in our visualization has nothing to do with killing people and offering their blood, but rather with dissolving our fixated notions. As for wrathful deities, we turn it completely around. As we must offer them something humans don't drink, we use blood. Also, when hearing that blood is offered as a drink, one thinks, is it my blood or someone else's blood? If it is someone else's blood, wouldn't it be sad for them? So I would rather offer my own. This reflects a perceived duality of self and other, and until you transcend that duality, you should definitely continue to offer blood in your visualization. It is similar when offering rinsing water. For the peaceful deities, of course, you offer clean water to rinse their feet. But for a wrathful deity, it has to be the opposite of pure, clean water. That is why we offer poison as rinsing water for the wrathful deity's feet. One may then develop dualistic concerns. Won't it hurt their feet? If you offer poison to the deity, won't their skin fall off, the whole thing going to pieces? When you hear the word poison, you immediately form a strong mental notion, thinking, it's bad, it's horrible, it's deadly. However, you must overcome value judgments such as these using the many subtle techniques Vajrayana employs to this end. That is why people who do not know the true meaning and purpose of the symbolism often get a completely wrong impression of Vajrayana. Finally, the word samaya means all 7 aspects of preparation are now complete. The main part, the 3 samadhis. Training in the development stage of the main part involves the extraordinary method of visualizing the deity. Beings are born in one of 4 ways: by egg, womb, heat or moisture, or instantaneous appearance, a type of ethereal rebirth. These 4 correspond to each individual's habitual tendencies. The particular methods of visualization found in the development stage purify the tendencies related to the 4 modes of birth, as well as the habitual tendencies related to passing away. Many of the details of visualizing can be found in Light of Wisdom, Volume 2, Lamrim Yeshe Nyingpo, which states, the Lamrim Yeshe Nyingpo root text says, manifesting as the resultant from the causal purifies egg birth. The wisdoms of the 5-fold true perfection purify womb birth. Being instantly present from a mantra purifies birth through warmth. The deity in completeness by mere recollection purifies miraculous birth. These 4 types of rebirth have 4 points. The very extensive development stage corresponding to egg birth for the complex beginners with dull faculties. The development ritual of pure perfection, of true perfection, corresponding to womb birth for the slightly complex people with medium faculties. Development through just a mantra, corresponding to warmth and moisture birth for non-complex people of sharp faculties, and development as instantaneous perfection corresponding to miraculous birth for the extremely non-complex people of the highest faculties. Thus, There are 4 types of rituals for development of the deity. One can also begin the visualization according to one of the many styles of Mahayana, Anu Yoga, or Ati Yoga. My explanation is based on the Tuktrup itself and seems to correspond to the visualization for purifying the concept of womb birth. The aspect of knowledge, prajna, is of primordial purity, and the aspect of means, upaya, is of spontaneous presence. Their indivisible unity manifests in the form of the seed syllable, out of which everything appears. At the same time, you can also say that out of Dharmakaya the Sambhogakaya appears, out of Sambhogakaya the Nirmanakaya appears, and so forth. The words we have here are: Dharmakaya's basic space of suchness is the realm of luminous wakefulness. Sambhogakaya's unceasing illumination is compassionate expression. Then this emptiness and compassion combine into Nirmanakaya's seed samadhi, the white Hri. The method of purifying is called the 3 samadhis: the samadhi of suchness, the samadhi of the illumination, and the samadhi of the seed syllable. This process purifies conception based on the meeting of the father's sperm and the mother's ovum. You could compare the letter Hri to the consciousness that enters the fertilized egg. It is the seed from which the deity will appear. The seed syllable then develops into the full-fledged form of the deity and takes birth. A newborn baby is not yet fully grown. It needs to be nurtured and to mature. Symbolizing this process, the deity still needs to be consecrated with the 3 syllables and empowered with the 5 Buddha families, even though it manifests fully. Having grown up, the child can now carry out the responsibilities of adulthood, which correspond to the various recitation intents. Finally, just as everything begins to disintegrate at death, we dissolve everything at the end of the sadhana. Then, to symbolize the Nirmanakaya's unceasing activity to benefit beings, we again appear in the form of the deity. In other words, the development stage purifies an ordinary person's habitual states of delusion and ways of perceiving from the moment of conception and birth until death, when everything disintegrates. The practice begins with the 3 samadhis, goes through all the various parts of the sadhana, and ends with dissolving and then re-emerging. Every single feature totally fits together, not only purifying habitual tendencies, but also maturing a practitioner into the completion stage. Moreover, it does not finish there. It extends to the final resultant stage of Buddhahood, where endless, boundless benefit will manifest for beings. The Light of Wisdom Volume 2 also explains this very carefully. So the development stage has many levels of impact and effect. If you practice Vajrayana, there is no way to avoid understanding the 3 kaya principle. The awakened state of the Buddha, which is Dharmakaya, expresses itself as Sambhogakaya in order to influence beings. Out of the Sambhogakaya, the magical forms of Nirmanakaya are conjured forth to provide sentient beings with a tangible connection and to teach the 9 vehicles in order to bring them to enlightenment. Having turned the wheel of the Dharma in boundless ways, which are called the inexhaustible adornment wheels of enlightened body, speech, and mind, and so forth, then the Nirmanakaya deities dissolve into the Sambhogakaya, and the Sambhogakaya dissolves into the Dharmakaya. The structure of the development stage reflects this cycle. The main part begins with unfolding the framework of the 3 samadhis. Next, you visualize the support, which is the mandala, and the supported, which is the deity. Third, you invoke the wisdom beings to dissolve indivisibly into you as the Samaya being. Then you pay homage, make outer, inner, and innermost offerings, and offer praises. Finally, you train in the vivid presence, which is the visualization of the principal figure of the mandala, followed by the recitation of mantra. All of this comprises the general system of development stage according to Mahayoga. Dharmakaya's basic space of suchness is the realm of luminous wakefulness. Sambhogakaya's unceasing illumination is compassionate expression. Nirmanakaya's seed samadhi is the white Hri. From it, light radiates, purifying the clinging to a real universe with beings. On gradually piled elements amidst the vajra protection circle, from Brahm comes the jeweled palace with perfect qualities. The first of the three samadhis is the samadhi of suchness. The syllable A signifies non-arising, non-dwelling, and unceasing. The Manju Shri Nama Sankirti describes it as the most eminent among all verbal expressions, while the Guhyagarbha Tantra mentions it as being the basis for all sounds and words. In this particular context, the syllable A signifies letting be in the state of Dharmakaya, the awakened mind of all Buddhas, which is the nature of our own mind's emptiness. Primordial purity or Rigpa. These are all synonymous at this point. The first sentence means that the Dharmakaya, the state of unconditioned suchness, the primordial purity that pervades all of samsara and nirvana, is endowed with a spontaneously present, luminous wakefulness. To apply this personally, the ideal is to mingle your state of mind with the Dharmakaya of all Buddhas. To do this, we simply drop our visualization and totally relax into the state of awareness or emptiness, naturally, without following after any thoughts of the past, present, or future. For a short while, simply let be in naturalness. If you have already had the state of Rigpa pointed out to you by a master, and you have recognized it, then this is the occasion to remain in the state of composure, sustaining the continuity of Rigpa, which is a wakefulness that defies thoughts, words, and descriptions. But if you have not had the pointing out instruction, then you should do the following. Focus on your faculty of sight, the eye consciousness, and simply direct your gaze into the openness of space before you. Let your tongue remain suspended in your mouth, not touching the upper palate or gums. Remain totally disengaged, uninvolved in either recollecting the past or planning the future. Just allow the present moment to be, like a drawing on water. Then, for a short while, you will experience some openness, a naked state of being open and awake, and that's it. However, if you are not able to just let be, then at least think that all phenomena in samsara and nirvana, whatever appears and exists, are by nature emptiness. This emptiness is not a blank void state. It is endowed with luminous wakefulness. This concept, of course, may not be Dharmakaya, but if one does not know how to recognize the natural face of Dharmakaya, then one must at least use thought to loosen one's dualistic concepts. The next sentence, Sambhogakaya's unceasing illumination is compassionate expression, refers to the samadhi of illumination. This compassion is non-conceptual and undirected. embracing of all those who fail to understand their basic nature of suchness. It is the natural expression of the Dharmakaya of all Buddhas, which is the Sambhogakaya. So to practice this, let the awakened state of the first samadhi manifest as a magical compassion for all sentient beings who fail to recognize this intrinsic wakefulness. All beings without exception are already the Dharmakaya of all Buddhas. Their basic nature of suchness is the Sugata essence, but failing to realize that, they continuously stray into the deluded ways of experiencing. That is the reason for compassion. Since only a Buddha, the awakened state, is completely free of delusion, and everyone else, you could say, is submerged in a deluded way of experiencing, there is reason for compassion. This delusion causes our present experience of samsara to emerge. As compassion manifests from the state of emptiness, Sambhogakaya appears from Dharmakaya. The unity of the two, the indivisibility of emptiness and compassion, takes the form of the seed syllable, which is the third samadhi. That syllable, Hri, corresponds to Nirmanakaya. Whether it is in the shape of the Indian or Tibetan syllable, the Hri we visualize is indivisible from our own minds. The syllable radiates brilliant rays of light, symbolizing that our Buddha nature is naturally endowed with inconceivable great qualities. In the vast space of emptiness, Sambhogakaya's illumination takes the form of a white Hri. In other words, imagine that in the middle of the vastness of space, a brilliant white Hri emits light in all directions. This is the samadhi of the seed syllable, which corresponds to Nirmanakaya. In short, out of the Dharmakaya space of suchness, compassion manifests, fulfilling activity that assures the welfare of all sentient beings. These three samadhis are incredibly profound. In the pure aspect, they correspond to the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya of all Buddhas. On the impure level, they purify any habitual tendencies related to birth. All Mahayoga sadhanas include training in these three samadhis. This could all be explained in great detail, but it is important to know how to apply it in a practical way by means of the pith instructions of a master. According to Mahayoga, unless you are able to apply the teachings, there is no framework for the sadhana. On the other hand, if you do not know all the finer details, but do practice these three basic principles, then at least the framework for sadhana has unfolded. This is an extremely vital point. This is why the Trinley Japa has a 4-line verse for each of the three samadhis. These are chanted with a very special slow tune that allows the practitioner to bring these three samadhis to mind to the fullest and actually apply them as one goes along. Om. From the all-pervasive state of the utterly pure Dharmadhatu, a manifold display manifests as occurring in dependent connection. From the very moment it manifests, it is the primordial nature beyond concepts. This is the suchness stated by the Lotus King. Dharmadhatu, Jnana, Vajra, Svabhava, Atma Koham. Though everything is the nature of Dharmakaya, the awakened state, for all beings equal to space who do not realize this, the radiance of the non-conceptual, self-expressed great compassion shines through like the sun in the sky. Bodhicitta Utpadayami. Hong. Since all things originate as effects from causes, in order to free the 6 kinds of beings in the manner of compassionate emptiness, the white letter Hri, brilliant with rays of light, appears immutable within the expanse of space. Hri Saparana Pat Sangarana Hong. Even though there is only one sentence for each of the 3 samadhis in the Trindle Nyingpo, as we chant, we should allow the meaning of each word to bring to mind the natural face of Dharmakaya, the mind of all Buddhas. To the best of our ability, we should remain in this continuity. Then, within the continuity of Dharmakaya, we allow primordial purity to be expressed as compassion. Of course, the best is to have totally spontaneous, genuine, uncontrived compassion, but if that does not happen, then one must contrive it. From the Hri, light radiates, purifying the clinging to a real universe with beings. The light of the seed syllable purifies the tendency to cling to things, such as the world and sentient beings, as if they were solid and real. We must dissolve this tendency in order to train in development stage, just as a cup must be empty in order to be filled. If we still cling to our notions of material existence, we will not be able to imagine a pure land like Sukhavati, where the scenery is entirely composed of insubstantial gemstones, and the palace itself is immeasurable. The details of the Mandala temple are very complex, but according to the tradition of Pith instructions, you can simply imagine that you are in a magnificent house, a wonderful mansion made of insubstantial jewels. Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche said this to a few students when he was in the West. So we try to think of it as being the best possible, the most exquisite, whatever we can imagine beyond the ordinary. The words on the gradually piled elements amidst the vajra protection circle mean that the various types of seed syllables like A, Yam, Ram, Lam, Bam emanate from the Hri and turn into the mandalas of the elements in different colors, shapes, and so forth. This too is very complicated. At this point, just imagine the syllables emerge, and that is good enough. The vajra protection circle is outside of that, like a huge dome. From Brahm comes the jeweled palace with perfect qualities. The celestial palace is situated at the center of the huge vajra cross, which is on the floor of the vajra protection circle. Its proportions, dimensions, decorations, and so forth are all complete and perfect, just as the magical net tantras, Maya Jala, explain. In-depth descriptions can be found in Kame Kempo's detailed explanation of Mawe Senge, as well as in the Guhya Gaba Tantra. An important point to remember, however, is that the celestial palace is a manifestation of the principal deity. In other words, the building is none other than the deity itself, and from every single little bell, the sound of the Dharma resounds. Visualizing Padmasambhava and his retinue. In its center, upon a lion throne with a lotus, sun, and moon, is my awareness as Padmasambhava, the embodiment of all Sugatas. With an expression of peacefully smiling wrath and a white and red complexion, I wear the lotus crown, secret dress, gown, dharma robes, and a brocade cloak. My right hand holds a vajra, and my left a skull cup with a vase. The supreme consort is embraced in the concealed form of a khatvanga. With my feet in the playful royal posture, I am poised in a sphere of 5-colored light. The floor of the celestial palace is mainly white, but there is a design on it, and it has various levels. The light in each of the 4 directions is of a corresponding hue: red, yellow, green, and white. Water flows in the 4 corners of the main floor, and then the inside of that is raised up above the rest. There are also various designs made of jewels in diverse colors. In the center of the palace, imagine a deep blue platform with 8 sides on which there is a lotus, sun, and moon. The fully blossomed lotus flower is huge, has 4 petals, and is either lapis blue or multicolored. In the center of the lotus is a raised throne supported by 8 lions, 2 on each side. On top of the platform of the throne, there is a lotus flower with both a sun and a moon disk. The syllable Hri, which is actually our own mind in the state of Rigpa, now comes to settle on the main throne and turns into Padmasambhava. Padmasambhava, the embodiment of all Sugatas. Padmasambhava, or Guru Rinpoche, has white skin, but it glows with a reddish hue. He is smiling peacefully, but his gaze is a little wrathful, a bit wild. His eyes look directly at those to be tamed. The lotus crown is like the ones Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche copied. Chokling Rinpoche has one. It is unique in that the rear flap does not hang down. It is described in the Trinle Jepa as being adorned with vulture's feathers, mirrors, and jewels, and is endowed with silk streamers. Even though it is often depicted as blue, its base color is actually red, symbolizing the lotus family, whose activity is magnetizing. The front flaps are blue and green, and there is a vulture feather at the peak, symbolizing the summit of all views. There is also an eye of a peacock feather to symbolize that the 5 poisons are automatically transmuted into the 5 wisdoms. These days it is often made with just a peacock feather and no vulture feather, as if the summit of all views were not needed. Finally, according to the tradition of Chokling Terza, there is a tiara of ribbons hanging down from the crown. The secret dress is a white undergarment worn next to the body. Over this, Padmasambhava wears a blue spangled gown, and over that he wears the 3 Dharma robes. He also has a monk skirt, which is unique to the Tuktruk Bache Kunsang. Over all this, he wears a maroon-colored brocade cloak tied with a tantrika's belt, which is a special kind of sash. He raises a vajra in his right hand and supports a skull with a vase of longevity in his left. Most Nyingma traditions show his hand supported on his right knee, which is called the Nangsa Zilnun style, whereas in the Tsokye Dorje style, he holds the vajra in front of his chest. In the Chokling Tersa, his hand is raised and most likely slightly forward. The skull cup is filled with the nectar of immortality, in which the vase of longevity rests. In the Nyingtik tradition, Padmasambhava's consort is visualized, but here she is in the hidden form of a Khatvanga. The Khatvanga is the trident resting in the crook of his arm, and it has a profound significance. For example, the 3 prongs symbolize piercing the 3 poisonous emotions, to reveal they too have the nature of basic space, and the 3 heads symbolize the 3 kayas. The garland, silk streamers, damaru, bells, and so forth, all embody profound symbols that can be learned elsewhere. Padmasambhava sits in the playful royal pose, which is not full lotus. Instead, one leg is slightly extended, as can be seen in tankas. This is probably how the Indian kings of the past sat. He is also poised in a sphere of 5-colored light. He is not sitting perfectly erect, but leans slightly to the right. As you visualize all of Padmasambhava's details, as described in the extensive version of the Sadhana, imagine that all these details, accessories, and so forth, have a divine nature. There are also 4 deities to dispel obstacles. They are magical manifestations of the 4 emblems. Aryatara appears from the Khatvanga. The Lord of Secrets, Dorje Bechun, springs forth from the vajra. Achala emerges from the skull cup, and Mewa Tsepa arises from the vase of longevity. Above my head is the White Lord Sambhogakaya Avalokiteshvara. With 4 arms and palms joined, he holds a crystal rosary and a white lotus. Above his head is Dharmakaya Amiteus. Red in color, he holds a nectar-filled life vase in equanimity. Padmasambhava is the embodiment of all the Buddhas in a single form. Behind him, another branch of the lotus rises above, where it unfolds a lotus flower. On this lotus, Avalokiteshvara sits upon a lotus disc. He is white and has 4 arms. The first 2 are joined in prayer in front of his chest. He holds a white crystal rosary and a white lotus in the other 2. He wears a deerskin across his left shoulder. This same lotus has another branch which extends up behind Avalokiteshvara. Dharmakaya Buddha Amiteus sits upon this branch, wearing the Sambhogakaya attire and appearing like Amiteus Buddha. He is red, has 2 hands in the gesture of equanimity, and holds the vase of longevity. As Sambhogakaya deities, both Avalokiteshvara and Amiteus wear the Sambhogakaya attire, consisting of the 8 types of jewelry, the silken garments, and so forth. When practicing Amiteus as an independent sadhana, according to the Bache Kunsel, visualize him embracing his consort. However, here his consort is simply a radiance of light. These are the Trikaya Gurus, the Gurus of the 3 Kayas. They are also called the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya deities. They are the 3 primary deities in the mandala of Tukdruk Bache Kunsel. In addition to these, there are the 12 retinue deities. Around, on the anthers of the 4-petaled lotus flowers, are in the east the white Jalwe Dungtsen, in the south the radiantly white Mawe Senge, in the west the yellow Kyechok Tsilzang, in the north the dazzling light brown Dukchis Shechen. Guru Rinpoche's throne is seated upon an octagon, and he faces east. Directly in front of him, on a petal of the 4-petaled lotus beneath his throne, is the white Jalwe Dungtsen. He holds a flaming sword in his right hand and a mudra shaped like a hook in his left hand. He is semi-wrathful, meaning half peaceful and half wrathful, and he wears a skirt made of tiger skin with bone ornaments. He is also half-seated, which means he is either seated or standing, either of the 2. Some people claim it makes a big difference whether he is sitting down or standing up, but actually it does not matter. As Padmasambhava said, "If you visualize me sitting, fine, visualize me sitting. If you visualize me standing, fine, visualize me standing." The Gyujang states that Jalwe Dungtsen is one of the 8 manifestations called Lotus King, who is the deity of magnetizing activity. In the sadhana specific to Jalwe Dungtsen, He has a retinue of 4 dakinis in the 4 directions, and it is said that its practice brings the 3 realms under one's control, develops the magnetizing and wrathful activities of yogic discipline, and so forth. In the south, meaning to Guru Rinpoche's right, on the 2nd lotus petal, is the radiantly white Mawe Senge. His 2 hands are in the gesture of expounding the Dharma. Wearing the attire of a fully ordained monk, he holds the stems of 2 lotus flowers in his hands. The flowers bloom at the level of his ears and support 2 volumes of scripture. To his right is the Prajna Paramita, condensing all the sutra teachings into a single volume. To his left is a volume of Kilaya scripture for dispelling all types of hindrances and achieving all kinds of siddhis, which condenses all the Vajrayana teachings. His legs are in the full vajra posture, commonly known as full lotus. He wears the kind of pandita hat that has a peak. The Gujang says it should be yellow, which Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche confirmed when I asked him if it shouldn't be orange. So though it is commonly said that Tsongkhapa created the yellow hat, it is probably not true, as there must have been a tradition in India for some panditas to wear yellow pandita hats. Nonetheless, beneath the pandita hat, he is wearing the crown of the 5 Buddha families with the 5 jewels and so forth, as well as the syllables Om, Ah, Hung, Tram, Pri, Ah. When Mawe Senge is one of the retinue deities, as in this case, you do not visualize anyone else around him, but when you practice his own sadhana, he has his own retinue of the 4 families of Manjushri, the 4 families of Sarasvati, and the 4 guardian kings. Mawe Senge is the manifestation of intelligence and insight, and his supreme knowledge is indivisible from Manjushri's. Mawe Senge is also indivisible from one of the 8 manifestations called Loden Chokse. Behind Padmasambhava is the yellow Kechok Tsulsang, who holds a 5-pronged vajra in his right hand and a small reliquary box in his left. He wears the 3 Dharma robes of a monk and the orange lotus crown, inside of which you should also visualize the crown of the 5 Buddha families. In the Gujang it says that together with his vajra he holds a banner of victory, which spontaneously brings forth all desirable things and fulfills all wishes like a shower of rain. That is how he is described in the separate sadhana for Kechok Tsulsang, or Lama Norla, as he is known. Here it only mentions the vajra, but Tertuns often don't divulge everything. Some things they mention explicitly, others they keep secret. I am not sure why he is not holding the victory banner here, but that's the way it is. In his own sadhana, Lama Norla is surrounded by his own retinue, the 4 families of Jambala, who are the wealth gods of devas, humans, nagas, yakshas, as well as Kuvera and many other deities, the 4 kings of the 4 directions, and so forth. In the north, meaning to Padmasambhava's left, is the dazzling light brown Dukyi Shechen. He looks similar to Padmasambhava, but he is standing and does not have any charnel ground attire. He has a Kilaya dagger raised in his right hand. In his left hand he has an action dagger pointing downwards. Usually when people hold a knife, they point it away from themselves, but here it is important that the purba is pointed at oneself. His 2 eyes are gazing heavenward, and he is chanting the syllable Hung. He is in a mass of flames with his 2 legs in the striding stance. In some old tankas he is depicted standing on a corpse, but I have not found any evidence to support this. He is indivisible from the Yidam Vajra Kilaya, Dorje Purba, which symbolizes that Guru Rinpoche has completely perfected activity. In the independent sadhana, he is surrounded by different deities, including the lion-faced Dakinis and the Herukas of the 8 classes. In the Tuktruk-Bache Kunsel, the lower activities are connected with this deity. There are a lot of rituals for suppression, annihilation, destruction, and so forth. In that sadhana, all you need to do is simply remain in the form of Padmasambhava, while in the sky before you is Dukji Sechen together with his retinue. There, Padmasambhava's lotus crown is blue instead of red, and it has 5 skeleton heads on the outside. The mantra for Dukji Sechen is the same as for Vajra Kilaya. Now we move on to the 8 deities seated in the points of the octagonal platform. Outside, surrounding these, there are, on the 8-faceted jewel, in the east, the blue-coloured Zamling Gyengchok. In the south, the radiantly clear blue Pema Jungne. In the west, the white Kyepa Pakpe Rigzen. In the north, the dazzling red-maroon Kongtrül Tuchen. Directly in front is the blue-coloured Zamling Gyengchok. He is dark blue and wrathful, wearing a 2-layered dark blue brocade cloak. On top of the cloak he wears the charnel ground attire, which includes an elephant skin on his torso, a tiger skin wrapped around his waist, human skin wrapped like a scarf around his neck, and a triple bandolier of human heads. He does not wear a crown, but there are skeleton heads in his hair. His braids are turning upwards, and his eyes are glaring. His fangs are bared, and he holds 2 Kilaya daggers raised to the right and left. He has another Kilaya dagger tucked into the human skin he wears as a sash around his waist. Like Padmasambhava, he is wearing boots, though he is in a striding stance. With his feet, he holds down the corpse of a demon. He is indivisible from the deity Yangdak or Vishuddha Heruka. In the individual sadhana, Zamling Gyengchok is surrounded by a retinue of the 8 Gaurima goddesses. 6 doctrines connected to this deity bring awakening through meditation practice, such as Tummo, inner heat, dream yoga, illusory body, Bardo, and Poa. When we do Poa according to Chokyo Lingpa's style, we visualize Zamling Gyengchok. In the south, the radiantly clear Pema Jungne is clear blue, like the sky. His hands are crossed in front of his chest, holding a vajra and bell. His consort is white, and she holds a curved knife and skull cup. He is naked except for jewel and bone ornaments. Sometimes he is depicted wearing a tiger skirt, like the Turtrung Sal form of Padmasambhava, but that is not necessary here. The 5 families of Turtrung Sal surround him. According to the chapter of the teachings discussing this form of Padmasambhava, there are 6 wondrous doctrines that bring awakening without meditation. These doctrines, such as liberation through seeing, hearing, touching, or wearing, bring enlightenment without one having to do anything whatsoever. If you want to train in the Dzogchen instructions according to the Tuktruk-Bache Kunsel, then you should train in the instructions connected to Pema Jungne. There is also the root tantra of the Bache Kunsel, called the Lotus Essence Tantra, which gives the accessory instructions connected to him. In the West, the white Jepa Pakpe Rigtsen is wearing the normal attire of Padmasambhava, although he is standing. In his right hand he holds a vajra pointed at the sky, which symbolizes pointing out the right path. He is holding a Khatvanga staff in his left hand. In the Gurjang, it says he is Guru Nima Özer, who is one of the 8 manifestations. In his individual sadhana, his retinue includes the 8 drekpa aspects. When making a huge consecration, for events like blessing a piece of land or embarking on a great effort to benefit beings, assume the identity of Jepa Rigtsen. In the north, the dazzling red-maroon Zamtrul Tuchen is none other than Dorje Drolu. He is standing on a tigress's back and is wearing Dharma robes. He holds both a vajra and a kilaya. In the Gurjang, it says he has a horse's head sticking up on the crown of his head, and that many scorpions emanate from the hand holding the purba. In the long version of the sadhana, it does not say that he stands on a tigress. It says he has mounted a pregnant tigress, and he is eating the hearts of the Damsi spirits. In his individual sadhana, the 10 wrathful deities surround him. Having completed the deities in the 4 main directions of the octagon, now come the 4 in the intermediate directions. In the southeast, the red Vijayadhara Dorje Draksal. In the southwest, the flaming dark blue Kaldin Drenze. In the northwest, the majestic dark brown Raksha Turtrang. And in the northeast, the radiantly clear red Dechen Jalpur, all perfectly adorned with the appropriate ornaments and objects. In the southeast, the red Vijayadhara Dorje Draksal is none other than the wrathful form of Padmasambhava, known as Guru Dragpo. In his right hand he holds a vajra, and with his left hand he is holding a scorpion by the neck. He wears the 8-fold charnel round attire. In some termas he is a solitary figure, but in the Bache Kunsang he is in union with his consort Varahi Dorje Palmo, who is dark blue and bears a curved knife and skull cup. In the individual sadhana, Dorje Draksal has the 5 aspects of the 5 armor deities surrounding him. This Yidam's activity is to suppress the samaya violating Gongpo spirits. In the southwest, the flaming dark blue Kaldin Drenze is holding a vajra, wearing the full 10-fold wrathful attire, the charnel ground attire, and jewel rings. His consort is the light blue sky-faced one. He has 1 face and 2 arms. This deity is often used in the making of the sacred medicine known as mendrup. The activity connected to him is the supreme activity. Kaldin Drenze is Chemchok from among the 8 Herukas, Kabje. In fact, in the individual sadhana, Kaldin Drenze is surrounded by the 8 Herukas. In the northwest, the majestic dark brown Raksha Turtrang wears only the charnel ground attire. Though he is a wrathful deity, he does not have wings or wear the general wrathful ornaments. He holds a vajra and skull cup and is embraced by his consort, blazing light blue. In his individual sadhana, he has a retinue of 10 wrathful deities, just like Vajra Kilaya. The many lower activities connected to this deity include subjugating the 13 types of sea spirits. In the sutra teachings, the Buddha taught how to make subjugating yantras, but probably only Chokgyur Lingpa has the actual sadhana for applying them. I have not seen such sadhanas in any other Turton's collection, and Jamgon Kongtrül has stated that there aren't any. Karmik Khenpo wrote that Gujang contains many more details, but I have yet to find any copies of this. In the root text for the Tukdrup, nothing else is mentioned. And in the northeast, the radiantly clear red Dechen Jalpo is in essence Padma Vajra as well as Chakrasamvara. Like Chakrasamvara, he has a consort. They are naked and wear only bone and jewel ornaments. He has 3 eyes, bares his fangs, and glares with wide-open eyes. The teachings connected to this deity include the path of means, upaya. In the individual sadhana, he is practiced as 5 families. The completion stage practices connected to Dechen Jalpo are Chö and Dzogchen. The Dzogchen guidance manual connected to Bache Kunsel is a fusing together of instructions from Pema Jungne and Dechen Jalpo. It covers both Trekchö and Turgal. The appropriate ornaments and objects is a phrase that is further explained in the Trinle Jepa, which you should definitely consult. At the 4 gates, the 4 kinds of Dakas and Dakinis with their consorts, and in the spaces between, the 3 roots and Dharma protectors are gathered like cloud banks. These magical wisdom forms of united appearance and emptiness are spontaneously present as the essence of the 3 vajras, and perfected with the supreme empowerments of the 5 wisdom families. Om Ah Hung. Om Hung Tram Ri A Abhikincha Hung. The 4 kinds of Dakas and Dakinis refers to the Dakas of the 4 families, Buddha, Ratna, Padma, and Vajra, in union with their consorts. They are in the colors of their respective families and have curved knives, each with specific ornaments on the handles, a Vajra, jewel, lotus, and Vajra cross. The Trinle Jepa describes them in this way. At the 4 gates, in the center of lotus flowers with sun discs, to the east is Vajradaka. His body is white. With a peaceful expression, he is joined with the consort of his own light. To the south is Ratnadaka with the color of gold. In a playful demeanor, he is joined with the consort of his own light. To the west is Padmadaka. His body is red. With a passionate expression, he is joined with the consort of his own light. To the north is Kamadaka. His body is green. With fierce, majestic splendor, he is joined with the consort of his own light. All are adorned with silks and ornaments of bones and jewels. They hold skull-cup and curved knife, fashioned with their individual insignia. While standing in playful, striding stances, they are vividly present as the forms that spontaneously accomplish the 4 activities. When you do the fire puja according to the Tukdruk Bache Kunsel, these are the 4 deities at the 4 gates who carry out the activities. There are also independent sadhanas for each of the 4 dakas with their dakinis, and each sadhana has its own mantra. At this point, we have visualized the Samaya being, and that is the basis for invoking the wisdom being. We have visualized body, speech, and mind, which should be complete no matter which deity it is. These 3 aspects should be present, vividly brought to mind. When you turn a consecrated tanka around, you see the 3 syllables Om Ah Hung written on the back. Now, this needs to be perfected with the supreme empowerments of the 5 wisdom families. The crown of the 5 Buddha families symbolizes the 3 poisonous emotions being naturally purified into basic space. In order to bring this to mind, we say the mantra Om Ah Hung, which is for Vajra body, Vajra speech, and Vajra mind. Om Hung Tram Hri Ah is for the 5 Buddha families. Then Abhikincha means empowerment. We imagine we receive the empowerment for that which is necessary at first. Visualize the Samaya being and then invoke the wisdom beings to confer this empowerment. This is very profound, actually. This means we should visualize ourselves as the Samaya being, the deity. We should also invoke and invite the wisdom being, definitely, without thinking of one as being superior to the other. Can you think like that? In the lower tantras, like Kriya Yoga, for sure one thinks of the deity as being superior to oneself, but in Maha Yoga one doesn't. That's a very significant point, actually. Then we're finished. Up to this point covers the general visualization of the principal deity as well as the deities of the retinue.